Hey guys, Shaun here. Thanks to everyone who tunes into the Play It Up podcast. We really love doing this podcast and really appreciate everyone who listens. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching for Play It Up Podcast. You can find the full video podcast on YouTube, and you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, Anchor, and more. If you want to ask us a question, you can do so on Anchor, and your question will be featured on the podcast. If you like what we do, please remember to like, review, comment, follow or subscribe, and please recommend us to your friends. Thanks guys, and enjoy the episode.
Pardon me.
Oh, and we are back. Welcome back to the Play It Up podcast. Thanks for that, Mike.
Welcome.
No, I'm not. I'm going to cut it out, mate. I'll get it.
Oh,
if you want it in, I'll keep
That's
it in.
That's a great start.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Play It Up podcast. Today we have a special kind of spontaneous guest, Jack Philippi. Philippi. However you would like to say it. And we have like a little games club. We talk about games. We play a game kind of monthly. It's been a bit random, but that's the idea, I guess, like once a month. This time it was Metal Gear Solid, and we thought, oh, well, there's three of us in here from the podcast, plus Jack. Let's just do a fucking podcast. So,
impromptu podcast. Yep.
Yeah. Welcome, Jack. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Do you want me to do a little intro?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, tell us a bit about yourself, mate. Yeah.
Bit about myself. Okay, so I guess a bit of context for people who I haven't met in the little arcade community. I think all four of us met through our love of arcade retro games. A couple of us specifically through Donkey Kong. We all very sadly got hooked on the Donkey Kong train, and the beautiful Netherworld Arcade up in Brisbane, who runs the yearly Australian Kong Offs, was sort of the conduit that brought us all together, and really got us hooked on that stupid game.
Mm-hmm.
And so many months and many years at the sort of inception of Netherworld, we get together, have a couple of beers, and get to know each other. And then I stupidly have moved down to Melbourne, so I'm no longer in Brisbane, no longer quite as close to the rest. And I could not regret it more with the events of this last year or two, which have made it very difficult to come up to visit, because it was a little bit more tolerable before. But before the arcade opened at Netherworld, and before all that, I've been a nerd forever. Since I can remember. We grew up. The biggest consoles for me growing up was the Game Boy, the OG Game Boy. I had my own Game Boy Pocket, which was colored green, and my mum's original DMG from 1989 when she was over in the States. And
awesome.
That evolved. I think the next console we got was the Nintendo 64, and then backwards to the Super Nintendo, which was a bit strange.
Oh, wow.
We got a hand-me-down Super Nintendo from a family friend, and then played that.
Coolio.
And then straight into PlayStation and PlayStation 2, and then I think it was I think I've owned most of the Nintendo consoles from the Game Boy. Obviously with the normal exceptions like the Virtual Boy and whatnot.
I owned one of those for a few weeks, and then I sold it to Rob Dicker because it was one of his holy grails.
There you go.
And I played it. I thought it was pretty cool, but I didn't.
It really is a collectible item. It's not like there's not much content for that. I mean, there was a Wario game. There was a mainline Wario game or something.
Wario Land, and it was really good. Actually, the games on there that I've played, and the system itself, it gets a really bad rap because it flopped, but it was actually very impressive, and it looked crisp and clean, and it didn't give me a headache playing it. I mean, the stand wasn't the best, but if you have something set up at home where you can sit comfortably with the stand there and play it, it's actually it's a really, really nice system.
Sick.
I recommend, if you can ever give it a go, I really recommend it, because it's freaking impressive for the time. Like 3D, kind of VR before any of this stuff. Like it was 1995 it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people weren't ready for it, and
no, it was at a time where it was really hard for them to produce the blue and green LEDs on that form factor, I think, and so they had the red. That's why it was the stereoscopic red picture, because there was, I think, technical limitations with the colors. I went and had a look at, so when I was in Akihabara last, there was one of the game stores, I think it might have been one of the Super Potatoes, and they had one there that you could go up to and you could play and whatnot, and it was really cool.
Sick.
But it very much felt like a novelty and like a stepping stone to modern VR and modern video games. So
so I guess the Virtual Boy was 95, so it was probably in the Game Boy. When did the Game Boy Color come out?
Probably around
at the same time, 96 or so.
Right. So people were more likely to have a Game Boy than to spend more money on a Virtual Boy. Plus, that's not very portable.
Yep.
Google tells me 1998 was the release of the Game Boy Color, which is a little bit later than what I thought. That means there was a 9-year gap between the original DMG and the Game Boy Color.
The first update
was, which is crazy, and they still didn't give it a backlight or anything.
Nope.
But they didn't need to. They had the control of the market,
printing money
with it. Oh man,
perfect.
And the GBA was in 2000 or 99, I think. So the color didn't
2000
have.
And I want to say 2000 and
2001-ish.
2000
might have been
something.
2003, or because I just watched a video about all the classic series coming out, the NES Classic Series by Scott the Woz.
2001. 2001 in Japan, and only a month later in North America. So
oh shit. So like color, 7 years later in Australia, then
yeah.
Basically.
The Game Boy Color's coming out next year in Australia. So
gotta love it. The Game Boy Advance was probably one of my most played handheld consoles.
Nice.
With the advent of Pokemon Ruby Sapphire, being a huge Pokemon kid, and I remember getting the Game Boy Advance on my birthday. It was a birthday present from my parents, and it came along with one game, and that was Ice Age for the Game Boy Advance. And I loved that game. I mean, it's the only game that I had at first, until I think a few months later, where Ruby and Sapphire were released, and I picked them both up. But Ice Age, looking back, horrible game, fucking terrible game. Yeah. But I didn't know any better, and so I smashed it. I played it a lot when I was, younger, and then lost it. I lost it, and it just disappeared, and I couldn't find it. And it was 15 years later, I was going through boxes at my parents' house, and I found it. I found the original cartridge, and I thought it would have, it was so lost that I thought it would have been in the rubbish, or
gone forever.
Proper gone.
Yeah.
It was very rare that there was anything that remained in the house that I actually lost, and so finding that and booting it up again was really
super
strange.
Cool, man.
What a trip, man.
Yeah, it felt very much like the scene in Jumanji where they unearth that old relic of this board game that they found, or that had been, something akin to that. It was really interesting.
It's almost like you discovered it from a past ice age,
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Shit.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So you had the 64 and then PS1, PS2. Did you get the GameCube when it came out?
64, then SNES.
Oh yeah, sorry, 64.
Yeah, 64 and then SNES.
Back to the superior SNES.
Yeah, there are a lot of good games. There are a lot of good games on SNES. So
good
way better
games.
Yeah, they were.
Controversial, but valid.
It was the peak of the 2D versus the very bottom of
the beginning of 3D.
Era,
A note on the Super Nintendo front was we got it as a hand-me-down from family friends.
You traded it for a handy.
Games.
Nice.
a deal.
That'd be a pretty good deal these days.
I'd do it.
People get bored in pandemics, man. do what you got to
do. People also get desperate for old hardware. So
old hardware.
Have to come to some sort of arrangement.
Yeah.
So anyway, I recall a few of the games that came along with this hand-me-down Super Nintendo. One of them was obviously Super Mario World, which I will stand by as one of the best Super Nintendo games of all time. But another game that came with it was Mario Paint. And
cool.
Mario Paint was such a strange game. And for many, many years, it confused me a lot because we could never get it working. And it was maybe 10 years after giving up trying to play it that we realized that it required a third-party accessory. First-party accessory, which was the little Nintendo mouse that it came with.
Yeah.
So I went back like 10 years after originally owning the game and played it for the first time, which was really bizarre. Especially the little musical part where you can make the music with the weird inbuilt synthesizer thing. That was really cool.
Awesome.
But yeah, I think someone was about to ask whether I ever owned a GameCube.
Yeah. Did you go then to GameCube and Wii and everything like that as well, or did you then later?
No, that's pretty much spot on. So we pretty much got the Nintendo consoles on release, and I can say that for the Switch as well. Like I picked one of those up as soon as I possibly could. I was actually in Japan at the time that it released, and couldn't find a copy. I couldn't find a console anywhere, and I would have looked in easily 50 stores, and not one of them had a single console. So when I got picked up by my parents after landing back in Brisbane after a 3-week trip, as much as I desperately wanted to be home after this long holiday, I made Mum take me to EB Games so I could pick up a Nintendo Switch with Breath of the Wild.
Sick.
And I have no regrets. It was such a good choice.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
How old were you then when you went to Japan? Actually, I don't know how old you were in general.
So I'm 27.
Okay.
So when I
young fella.
that was that's it. Don't know why I'm hanging out with all you bloody boomers, but
I know.
Here we are.
Hey.
It's just that. So
Hey.
I don't know. That was 4 or 5 years ago. Whenever the Switch released, because I ended up acquiring one, I think 2 weeks after the actual release date. So because Australia had no shortage, but Japan just sold out everywhere.
Yeah, wow.
So
their population is, I think, way more massive than ours.
I think Tokyo's population is like 70 million or something. I think it's like or 150 million or something. Tokyo.
They love their handhelds because they're going on the trains. They're on the go a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a little bit less. It's 14 million. My bad.
But, Tokyo.
Still.
Close. It's two-thirds of Australia's population in one city.
Yeah.
So.
All right, just gonna have a pee break, guys. Back in a sec.
All right.
Oh.
Bye.
You weren't dismissed, Mike.
The mangoes. It's the Milton mangoes. Oh, they go straight through
mangoes.
That's it.
Bring Contra.
Yeah,
we're gonna hear him just screaming at Contra. Yeah, sorry, we'll keep going.
Love it. Yeah, so GameCube I think was probably the most collaborative console that I owned, because I've got two younger brothers. One's 15 months younger and one's 4 years younger. So we were really in that period, like when the GameCube dropped, we got it and we were playing things like Mario Kart Double Dash, and we were playing Super Smash Brothers Melee, and all of these games which were just brilliant multiplayer games. And for us growing up, it was just it's probably the reason that me and my brothers are so tight now. Like we jump online most nights and play League of Legends and stuff like that, which is
that's
really
awesome.
Cool. And now we're all in our 20s, which is strange. It's come full circle. So GameCube, good. Genuinely one of my favorite consoles I've ever owned. It just has a really special part in my heart, and I think there was just like this level of creativity in games that that I think really went unnoticed. There's a lot of really great gems, even in some titles that were titles that were made after movies. Like I remember playing The Incredibles for GameCube, and it was a great game.
Oh wow!
And yeah, like nowadays you see a video game title that's of an IP of like some major movie franchise, and you're like, it's just shit. You just know it's going to be shit. I just don't feel like that was the case in that era.
No.
Obviously, there was the exceptions. There was horrible games that were released, like Ice Age, for example. That was a god awful game.
Some of the Toy Story games, I think, were pretty terrible.
They were the beginning of franchise.
Toy Story games were fucking amazing.
They were beginning of the franchise games that were amazing, that still continue on today. And like, even outside of normal, like the GameCube, you've got stuff on like PS1, like the Silent Hill series and that sort of stuff, and like all these amazing games came out around that era. It was fantastic to see all that sort of stuff come about. And I think what you mentioned about franchisees and like bringing like superhero games or maybe Lego games as well, like, which are just meh. Like there are a couple of good Lego games, but it's been done to death,
For sure.
They just print money, eh? Like, every kid.
Yeah. And having said that, we've bought them for my son. Yeah. So he's been into Lego Jurassic Park, and he's played that for about sort of the last year, back to back. But man, it's but maybe I don't know.
No
maybe
wonder
that'll be a thing for him. Yeah. So I really identify with what you said there. It's extremely valid, and it was a good time for games.
It was, and not to say that now isn't a good time for games, but it was just a different time. And there was just these standalone titles which popped up every now and then, which were just gems. I remember another one for GameCube specifically that was called Billy Hatcher. Billy Hatcher, something, and it was this. I think it might have been backed by Sega or something. And you were just this strange character who ran around an island and found these giant eggs and would roll the eggs around to crush other things. And there was really cool multiplayer aspects to it. And it was just a really cool new game idea. And it just never went on from there, which was heartbreaking because it was a fantastic game. And if you ask
sounds different.
Yeah, if you ask either of my brothers about it, they'll have nothing but positive things to say about it as well, because it was just a great game.
I love games like that.
I love finding gems like that you pick up a game off the shelf. You didn't use the internet to research or anything like that. You just sort of relied on like the cover and the blurb at the back, and you're like,
and the shitty little screenshots.
Like this. And give it a crack.
Well, that was
Billy Hatcher. I'd never heard of that, man. That sounds. I'm gonna have to look this game up. That's the first time I've ever heard of it.
That's fun.
Exactly. And there was a couple of other characters that I think had crossovers with other Sega games. I'm pretty sure it was a Sega game. And so you saw them in some of the Sonic 3D games, like the amazing Sonic the Hedgehog DX or Sonic Adventure DX, whatever it was. Really interesting. But I definitely recommend checking it out if you can boot it up on a GameCube emulator or find a physical copy, which God knows if you'll be able to. But it was a good one.
The GameCube games are very expensive at the moment, hey?
Yeah.
Maybe not that one. If it's some of the hidden gems, maybe are still like $10 or $20. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I've got some GameCube games waiting back in Australia, and I think I'll hold on to them though. I want to play them first at least. Yeah. It
looks like you can pick it up for $45 on eBay. So there you go.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg is what it's called.
So 45 Australian would be about 30 euros. So it's not bad. Yeah, nice.
But the GameCube I love more than anything for that, and like all of these independent titles which just sort of popped up, and some of them we never saw again, but they were just gems. They were just fantastic.
That reminds me of a game on the Xbox called Mashed that I played with my brothers all the time. It's kind of like Micro Machines where you got to get ahead and then you get like a point. So it's basically a different version of Micro Machines, but just the way the game was, and you had weapons, you could shoot rockets and stuff at each other, so it wasn't just about racing. And all the characters having like their funny little catchphrases, like, I don't know, you're gonna pay for that, and all that. You just get so angry at each other because like it was just, there's so many little quirks to the game that once you figure certain things out, like if you start to go backwards on one of the tracks that was like a circular, because you're still on the screen, you wouldn't actually die, even though the other person's really far ahead. So they could go around the corner. If you time it right, you can go all the way back to the next corner that's coming back around, and you're still alive. It's kind of a bit buggy, but it's kind of one of those bugs that makes it fun.
Well, that's like that's basically modern day Trackmania, right? Trackmania's got very similar
a little bit like that,
to skip whilst also getting the checkpoints that you need to get to. Yeah, it's really cool. Right. I love watching Trackmania. We were talking about Summoning Salt earlier, off the recording, and he's got a few videos on Trackmania which are just fantastic. So definitely recommend those.
Yeah, that's like a real time trial based kind of game, isn't it? Or is there multiplayer as well?
It's almost all time trials. There's no although I think there is like live races, but I think you're racing against the other players' ghosts, so there's no collision or anything. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I haven't played Trackmania in years, so but yeah,
I played it when it was free on PS Plus, and I did do some multiplayer like racing online. I think there was no, maybe I'm remembering wrong, I don't think there was collision, but I think they were proper races. But I think the popular part is the time trials.
I mean that's the basic premise of the game, is to beat the levels as quick as you can. Very, very fun game, very satisfying.
Oh yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
So then where did you go after GameCube? You had the Wii, then you had the Switch, and
had
now
the Wii,
what are you on?
So
you had the Wii U too, right?
Had the Wii U for a bit. Didn't play it a whole lot. The Wii U was just I mean, we all know about the Wii U and how strange of a console it was, and how it didn't know what it wanted to be. Very much a stepping stone to the Nintendo Switch, but it just was a little bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, it was a bit weird and a bit halfway though.
There was
I liked it.
I liked it as well. But
yep.
It just was a bit clunky and confusing. And
it's
really the reason that it flopped as a console. The Switch is like, it's got to be the best console I've ever owned. It's just
a good console. It's really good.
Super, super comfortable to use. It's like the whole idea when I first saw it announced with the whole like, oh, you can just dock it or you can pick it up on the go. I thought that was going to be really gimmicky. I thought it was just going to be like, I genuinely use it like it was shown in the trailers. You know, I'll take it. I'll take
on
it
a rooftop
on a train.
with your friends of all different cultures.
Guess what I did 3 weeks ago?
Seriously?
Did you sit on a basketball court with you guys, like playing the little controllers next to each other?
Yeah, I mean, obviously some of it is a bit tacky, but like, you know, I played it with my, like on the way to Japan with my brother. We played. I can't remember what games we were playing, but we played it on the plane.
Oh man, that would be perfect for a plane. Hey?
It's just incredible. And like just taking it on train trips, or even just when I come up to Brisbane, rather when I did years ago when we were allowed.
Back in the days,
back in the golden days, it was just the best. And like I said before, I've just picked up Metroid Dread, which is incredible. And I've just been playing it on my TV, which barely ever gets turned on.
Except for Switch.
So yeah, they answer your question. I went from GameCube to Wii U, and alongside that, what pretty much ate up a good 8 to 10 years of my life was World of Warcraft.
No!
And
that's the end of the episode. Goodbye, everybody.
So, a few of my friends know. You know, when I was.
How are you this normal?
Yeah, maybe to the camera. So when I was in grade, 8 through 12, when I was in high school, I was religiously playing World of Warcraft.
Nice.
Actually, So we said to my parents, we must have seen a YouTube video or seen someone else play World of Warcraft, and so we said, Mum, Dad, we really want to play World of Warcraft. We would have been 12 at the time. Can you get us World of Warcraft? Like, we really want to play it. And so Mum went out. She came back with the battle chest, that come with the multiple versions of the game, and we booted it up. And I think it was me and I think maybe we got 3 copies for all 3 of us, and
nice.
And we would all jump on and played it for maybe 6 months, and then we were watching this YouTube video, or like one of us was at least, and it was a YouTube video of World of Warcraft, and I was like, this looks really different. Like, what's going on here? I then discovered that World of Warcraft is a different game to Warcraft 3. And for a long time, a lot longer than it should have been, we'd been playing Warcraft 3 for PC, thinking it was World of Warcraft.
Shit! Man!
But it was a huge blessing in disguise, because Warcraft 3 is a fantastic game, and it led us to a lot of really fun experiences, with all the Warcraft 3 custom maps, which eventually evolved into Dota. The original Dota came from a Warcraft 3 custom map.
So was that intentional? That Warcraft 3 instead of World of Warcraft, was that an intentional purchase?
No, that was just the lack of us knowing what we wanted, and the lack of my parents having any idea what they wanted. And they brought it home to us, and we had no idea that it was the wrong thing. It was just a whole strange situation. So like I said, blessing in disguise. Warcraft 3 was fantastic. And then we realized that World of Warcraft was a totally different beast altogether. And we got the World of Warcraft battle chest, because of course they both had battle chests. The World of Warcraft one coming with the base game and the Burning Crusade expansion, and Warcraft 3 came with the base game and the Frozen Throne expansion. So it's like a whole thing. Very confusing. Right.
Easy mistake to make then. I had no idea.
Especially if you're sending your mum out, she probably just saw Warcraft and was like, "Yep, that's it."
It's like, "Oh, that'll do."
Yep. I think she'd even asked the people at the desk at Harvey Norman, like what one to get and whatever else.
Harvey Norman. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The boomer at the counter gave her the wrong one.
Hardly normal is what a mate of mine used to call it.
This will do you all right, love, and it's cheaper.
Would you like a couch with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me sell you an aircon. Yeah. What?
So we discovered World of Warcraft was a different thing, and then we convinced them to get World of Warcraft for us.
Nice.
And then was the issue that we ran into discovering that World of Warcraft was a paid subscription game. And me being a 12-year-old wanting to play this game that my parents would have to pay $12 a month for. They were like, "Fuck no, we're not doing that." And I think it came.
We don't love you that
with
much.
a couple of months for free. Yeah, basically. I think it came with a couple of free months, and it got my hooks in. It got its hooks in, rather, and I was hooked on this new game, and I was told that my parents weren't gonna, understandably so. Subscription models were not a super popular thing at that point.
Nope.
And so they were like, "Oh, we're not fucking paying for it." And then I discovered the world of private servers. And so here's me, little 12-year-old pirate Jack, who was jumping into these private World of Warcraft servers, which were hosted by basically the OG dark web. Basically these I'd always go for the Blizz-like ones, because there was private servers that were very authentic and tried to be as original and as close to the live experience as possible. And then there was the other ones where you start at level 70, you start with $1 billion gold and all of the things. And the beauty of the game is just lost at that point.
Yeah.
So I played on Burning Crusade private servers for probably a couple of years. And then I got my first job at McDonald's, and I was like, I'm gonna play World of Warcraft for real now.
Yes.
And then one thing led to another. I was in grade 12, in the midst of all the assessments and stuff, getting home from work at 7 or 8 p.m., jumping straight onto World of Warcraft, until 3 or 4 a.m.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And then going to sleep and waking up for school at 7 a.m. and rinsing and
for an
repeating.
exam.
And I got myself into some pretty hardcore groups, guilds on World of Warcraft, and we were raiding and progression raiding. And everyone relies on you, and it's like super high stress, which is why I was on so late, because they were US based. So yeah, for years I was deep in that hole, and
Jesus,
I regret none of it.
Especially that was the only hole you were deep in, mate. Oh, sorry.
Oh, it definitely was. But yeah, I met a bunch of really cool friends through it. Obviously playing games with these imaginary people online for years, you get to the point where you decide to link up on Facebook and this and that. And I was at uni. I was in my second year of uni.
Sounds like a story about how you're going to get abducted or something, man. I'm just waiting for it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, basically.
And now I'm married to this American.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There was this one bloke. He was another Aussie who played in the same group, the same guild, and we would jump on, and we both played mages in World of Warcraft. And for maybe 2 or 3 years, we played most nights together. We'd just jump on, and we'd both be online and whatever else. And I was at uni one day, and I just knocked off a lecture or a class or something, and I went to QUT up in Brisbane. I was walking to the bar to meet up with a mate of mine, and I walked past the cafe area where they've got all the restaurants and stuff, and I lock eyes with this guy who I recognize, and I'm just like, who the fuck is he? Where do I know him from? And I get down to the bar and I sit down, and it clicks, and so I jump on Facebook and I message one of my guildies from World of Warcraft who I'd linked up with on Facebook.
One of my guildies.
I'm like, first of all, are you in Brisbane? Like, do you live in Brisbane? And second of all, do you go to QUT? And he messages. He's like, yeah, I'm there now. And I was like, dude, come to the bar.
Sick.
And so I get to meet this person who I'd spoken to for 3 or 4 years online, exclusively online, and grab a beer with him. And it was just the most bizarre experience.
That's awesome.
It's just seeing someone face to face and communicating like that after so long of not having that face. Oh, it was just so strange.
Yeah.
And then and then I think the semester after that, we shared a class together.
Wow, that's like pen pal shit on steroids.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah.
So bizarre. So yeah, World of
really
Warcraft,
cool.
I still go back to it whenever there's a new expansion.
Sweet.
I'll actually show you guys. I've got the few collectibles that I own. The World of Warcraft battle tents, the collector's editions.
Damn
shit.
Oh man.
I'm missing the original two, which are the base, the original game, and the Burning Crusade expansion. But yeah, they're sort of my little guilty pleasure. So that's a bit that you guys didn't know about me.
Beautiful,
awesome.
yeah, man.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
No.
I played Swatter for a few years, but never. I was never really that good. It was sort of I just played as a tank and played casually, so I didn't really play anything like. I wasn't as hardcore as like. It sounded like you were in some pretty sort of serious raiding parties and stuff, and man, I never got to that, and it was Star Wars themed, so I was like,
for sure.
Sounds like you went full like Cartman mode in
basically
South Park, like
Mom, toilet.
Yeah.
I think, it could have been that episode of South Park. It could have been that episode of South Park that originally clued us on to the Warcraft universe and World of Warcraft. And I think maybe we picked up Warcraft 3 and just thought, oh, maybe South Park has a different, special version. They just amped it up a bit.
Right.
Because that was definitely around the time that I started playing.
It's one of the best episodes ever. Oh my god.
Man.
It's fucking hilarious.
Australia in the early 2000s, clicking onto what America and the Asian countries have online. Holy shit. It just blew up.
How do you kill that which has no soul?
Yeah.
Do we trust the sword of 1,000 truths to a noob?
The guy that's playing World of Warcraft, like the one they're trying to beat, is just just shit dripping.
Amazing.
Oh, gosh. Such a great show. Then, so when did you quit? When did you quit your addiction, and did you go to rehab?
Well, he's not. He's not.
He
said he still relapses, bro.
True.
Yeah,
true.
I would say I've never quit, and I'm not sure I really intend
I'll never quit.
I think there was definitely some unhealthy years where all I was doing was playing World of Warcraft outside of work and study. And
super addictive, eh?
I was saying that me and my two younger brothers, we played a lot of games together, and we do now, but I sort of missed out on a little block of that, which was Xbox 360 era. So my brothers were playing Gears of War, and they were playing League of Legends, and they were playing like a bunch of these other interesting games that I just never bothered with because I was sucked into the World of Warcraft.
Right.
And so now I'm finding this really cool, especially having lockdown being a thing. I'm in this really cool situation where my brothers are always online, and we have Discord, and they're always sort of in voice chat and whatnot. So I'll just jump on and play some games of League or like whatever else is popular on Steam, and I feel like I'm making up for those few years that I missed, which is just really, really cool.
Yeah, and all the games are still new to you as well, which is cool.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, I mean we're playing League of Legends, which they played 10 years ago, and I'm a noob. Like I never played it before. So it's new and exciting. But with the World of Warcraft thing, I no longer have that addiction. But I still love the franchise. I still have a lot invested in it, and whenever there's a new expansion, I'll complete it. I'll get to max level. I'll do a bit of the end game content, and then I just call it when I've had enough.
Jack, was QUT esports a thing when you were still at QUT?
No, so I follow QUT esports on Twitch, but it would have only been a year or two after I left that they really started kicking that off, and the esports was sort of no longer disregarded as some stupid.
It's still very thing. Much is. Yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
I watch a lot of esports, specifically like League of Legends, World of Warcraft arenas, and CS:GO. So funnily enough, when I was at QUT, I'm not sure if you're aware of the South Bank Library and the study rooms that you can lease out around there. There's along the water, there's I can't remember what the center's called, but they've got like recording studios and stuff, but they've also got these rooms that you can book for free as a student. And a friend of mine and I, while we were studying, we would go there and book out a room just so that we could study and we could do assessments and stuff. But we'd always hook up one of our laptops to the TV and watch CS:GO, and we'd always bet skins on CS:GO that obviously we paid real money for. So we were, gambling on competitive CS:GO matches, and it was the best. So CS:GO esports is one of my guilty pleasures. But
and just for like the general worldwide public, that's Counter-Strike Go,
that's right.
Yep.
Never was much of Global Offensive,
Global Offensive, okay.
Yeah. I never played CS:GO Source when I was younger. I never played CS:GO almost full stop until after I'd been gambling on it, and then I was like, oh, maybe I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I'll give this a shot.
But it's just a perfect sport to watch on esports. Like I pulled it up, I think at one point when I was at mum and dad's, and dad was hanging out, and even dad was able to follow. It's and he doesn't play games almost at all. Like he just does his TV stuff, whatever. So having something like that, it just sort of proved to me that game is like just an ideal esport, because it's super easy to follow what's going on for the most part.
Because most people who watch like traditional sport don't play that sport, a lot of the time, like footy or basketball or whatever. People watch it, but they don't really play. So it's good to have esports where if it's just a simple like shooter or something, you can be like, oh, okay, that guy shot that guy. I know what's happening. This is interesting.
That's right. Yeah.
I think Donkey Kong wouldn't really work as an esport, because it'd be like, why am I watching the same thing? over.
It's a horrible sport. It's a horrible game to
just
watch.
Got a lot of people that are really into Schadenfreude just watching to get their kicks from someone suffering.
Yeah. It's great for a Kong off. That's a great.
He got
format.
a barrel.
Warnie with the wrong and
Warnie.
Yeah, it's only got its beauty for us, like us Donkey Kong idiots who are in it for the community and who are also all just obsessed with this stupid game.
Yeah, it is. It's a therapy group at best. Everybody.
For sure. Cult.
And speaking of Warnie, imagine like watching cricket. Like you can watch someone, they'll line up for a big old bowl, they'll run in, they'll do the bowl, and it like goes slightly to the left, and they're like, wow, that was a fucking insane bowl. Did you see that?
Did you see the turn on that?
That's us with Donkey Kong. Like the barrel just skimmed past, like, what the fuck? Like that, he should have died, but like the barrel, like,
I don't know why I'd never.
Everyone else is standing around like,
it's the same as it was like 3 screens ago.
He threw a barrel. The fuck are you talking about?
I don't know why I've never drawn the similarities to cricket, because it genuinely is a cricket sport.
That's what Neil says whenever he's streaming.
Neil's so
he's
funny.
Got a picture of Shane bowling a barrel up on top of.
That's hilarious.
Oh shit! All right.
I watch it in the same way that I watch cricket. Even when we're at Kong Off, I'll tune in every now and then. You know, I'll never sit down and pay attention to cricket for the whole day. If I'm having beers with mates, we'll tune into it every now and then we'll do our own thing.
Isn't that what everyone does?
Because it's a horribly boring sport.
It is.
But it's the pursuit
it's the nuances.
It's to be honest, it is rather similar to Donkey Kong in that sense, because there kind of is a mind game that goes on, particularly in test matches when you're watching a test over X amount of days and you know what's happened in the first few days of the test and you expect that certain things to happen. So then you watch somebody get to a certain score and it's kind of the same as someone going through and getting like 400,000 or 500,000 in Donkey Kong and going, well, this person's been through a lot. Like
batsman's on 150.
Been through a lot.
They've still got 2 in the chamber. We expect that this is going to happen, but it's fucking similar.
Then it all goes to shit, and you question why you ever played.
Yeah, that's right. There's a batting collapse, and someone just like rage quits their stream, and you're like,
Alan.
Alan.
Oh my god.
Man. I wish he streamed more than he does, because those streams are some of my favorite entertainment on the internet.
Oh my god, he's so funny.
He's just a national treasure.
He is.
Shout out to my boy Alan Stoll.
Yo, Alan.
Got to get him on the podcast.
Did he make it up for? He didn't make it up for the last Kong Off.
Unfortunately, not, because Sydney obviously had their dramas probably a couple of weeks before before Vic did, and so Sydney were already done. And like, I think we were looking for the restrictions to ease before we were expecting everyone from New South Wales to be able to make it. But unfortunately, what happened was, because the outbreak was sort of like a certain period of time before everybody was due to fly up, it wasn't a long enough period of time for the cases to go down. But as it turned out, from there, the cases just sort of like went, and that's kind of where they ended up now. And that was where it all started, around AKO 4 time and BPAC. Which
you don't have to tell me about that.
Victoria.
We were at 1,500 cases the other day, and then I think the next day it was like 2,300. It was like now we're back down. We're sort of like doing the whole dance, but it's just, luckily now they're still opening up with the rise of vaccinations, but it's just exhausting. The whole thing's been exhausting.
I'm sure it is. It's
are
crazy.
Less people dying now, because like less percentage dying because of the vaccinations?
Yeah, 100%. And that's, I mean, the vax doesn't necessarily have a massive effect on transmission rates. It definitely does have an effect, but that's not the major goal of the vax. The vax is to prevent hospitalization, which is and therefore death.
Right. So it just becomes like a flu, kind of.
Basically,
that you're sick as a dog for a few days, but then you
Yeah.
get through it. You don't. It doesn't go to the next bit, I believe. That's not really my opinion as a health professional.
And it's less transmissive while you have it as well than if you weren't vaxxed.
Yeah, if you're not coughing your guts up as much, then you're not expelling as much and whatever. But yeah, it's a contentious topic. I wish it wasn't. But I'm just glad that
it shouldn't be.
Yeah, I'm glad that despite the contention, things are still opening up for for us, because we're fucking over it.
Oh man,
we're so exhausted.
It's pretty evident.
I want to come home. I want to visit you guys and my family. I've got 3 family members I haven't even met yet because they were born while I'm here.
I think like at this rate, Shaun, I think you saw your family the last time around when I last saw mine. I think maybe because I did manage to get up there about 7 months ago for 2 days. But
it's
not
been
a proper...
over a month, over a year for me now, and
Yeah.
They can either visit here. Hopefully, I think because once Queensland reaches 80%, they're allowed to travel and come back without a hitch. I think that's the rule, or that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, right.
So hopefully they can either come here, my parents, and we'll go check out the Porsche and Mercedes Museum and shit here in Stuttgart, or I'll be able to visit home and stay for a couple of weeks or something, and meet my
that'd be a treat.
Meet my nephews and niece, and go to Netherworld like 20 times a day, and
all I wanted to do. So last time I came up, I think it was Death by Arcade weekend. And I was so excited. I had my tickets, I had all my swag and everything set up, and then a few days out, because I was about to start my new job, I was told that Queensland's a red zone and I'm going to have to quarantine for 2 weeks after getting back to Melbourne. I was meant to start my new job in 10 days, and so I was like, I need to get back and quarantine ASAP before I can start my new job.
Yeah.
Of course, I get to Queensland Brisbane Airport, ready to come home. And they're like, "Oh, it's been downgraded to an orange zone," and I was like, "At this point, I've just
whatever.
I'm just copping it. It's too late." I think Death by Arcade was called off as well.
Yeah,
I think
it was. Yeah.
Ended up just being
Mike
Jimmy in the arcade.
It was Mike and Aaron and old mate for
that's right.
Overnight. Where
Aaron stayed awake by doing some sounding.
Well, Aaron was flipping out, singing Tiny Tim and stuff like that.
Yeah,
which was pretty good.
I thought I was hallucinating, but it was actually real life because people recalled it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Oh man, classic. But hopefully, I mean,
but everybody could have gone through that experience. I was looking forward to that because that would have been my first one.
Oh man,
same. Yeah, that would have been my first one.
We'll all get there, boys.
I wish you were all there, man. Like everyone, crazy, like 3-4 a.m. in the morning. Everyone's like just nuts.
I was going to video call Shaun. Be like, show Shaun what everyone's going through, and show everyone asleep in the corners and stuff.
It really is it is a bummer because lockdown, like obviously it's had a bit of a mental effect on everybody down here, and in the other states that are locked down a lot. And the online catch-ups I've been sort of avoiding. This one, like, I'm really glad I joined in and got to see you guys because it's been so long. But
we're happy too.
Yeah. It's a lot of the time with all the online catch-ups, especially sort of earlier in the case, yada yada. They sort of lost their magic. It was exciting at first, and then it just it was like a necessity thing.
Right.
And so it's just been exhausting. And like I'm just looking forward to the days where we can just do our nonsense and head down to One Up Arcade and get on the piss together. Can't wait.
Man.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I'm going to appreciate what we have in Brisbane so much more now that I've been away for so long as well. By the time I get back, if for whatever reason don't get to go back before September next year, I'll have been away from Netherworld for I think about as long as I was like into going to Netherworld. And that seems crazy to me because it feels like it's always been there, like that whole community. Like, that's my life.
Yeah, it's bizarre to think that I think Mike you and Neil that I met one night, and we were
the
just
first time. Yeah.
We were just at the arcade. There was no special event on or anything.
No.
I think maybe at Point Blank, or I don't know, or Donkey Kong maybe even. And we were talking, and we I think we're just chatting about how I was from Melbourne and how you guys were planning a trip down and this and that.
Yeah, that's it. And your Space Invaders tattoo as well.
Space Invaders tattoo.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same as the way that I met so many people in the community.
Yeah.
Just through Netherworld. Like it's really crazy.
It's the hive. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I can almost remember every person I met and how we met, like at that venue. Like it's just it's really cool. There's no other place like it.
Yeah.
Down here we have Bartronica, which is lovely, but for where they are in the heart of the CBD and the space they've got, they attract a lot of like bucks parties and corporate outings and stuff, and there's very little room for the arcade community to sort of flourish. And it just leaves a lot to be desired, especially coming from Netherworld, where it's just there's nothing like it.
It was a community.
It's community based, yeah.
Oh, it is.
All communities, not just arcade gaming, like the pinball, the D&D, like the sewing community. That's a thing.
Even 4ZZZ people as well, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It all comes from Ben and Jimmy just loving that side of things as well. They're huge.
It's
cool.
just
communities.
They're just amazing people.
Run by nerds for nerds. It's just super, super cool. We recently had not so recent now during the last year we've had Fortress open down here. I'm not sure if any of you guys would have had the chance to go to Fortress or heard about it. Fortress is a venue in the middle of the CBD. It's huge. It is enormous, and it's Australia's biggest esports venue. And so they've got these huge areas for like an internet cafe style thing.
Sorry, guys.
No, that's all right. They've got sort of an internet cafe style thing where you can jump on, like top of the line gaming computers and play or whatever. But they've also got a section which is an esports arena where they've got a big stage and computers set up on stage and a big audience section.
That's sweet.
And then they've got the tavern downstairs, which is this like a League of Legends style themed bar.
It's awesome.
And they've got all these booths and Nintendo Switches and PlayStations and everything set up around, and they do Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. But it just lacks the arcade gaming stuff and the retro gaming stuff, which is what I really like love and miss.
Yeah, you should have a section for that, man. That would be, I think, well worth it. They could have tournaments.
Still sounds cool. It's
really cool.
It's unique. Like Netherworld itself is unique, From
what I heard, they opened at a really inopportune time. I think it was like April last year, just before lockdown started, and they'd invested. I read somewhere they invested over $10 million opening this place up and getting it all. And you can tell, you can smell it on everything in there. It's just amazing. Amount of effort, the amount of effort that was put into everything, even just the trims around the bar and like the cool statues and like ornaments and stuff.
We gotta go.
So
hell yeah,
gotta call it.
We gotta go. Like
hell yeah.
When I'm in Melbourne.
Well, the thing that sucks the most is that they're an esports venue, but there's just been no opportunity for them to run big esports events.
There will be soon. I hope that their investment is at least worthwhile for them, because esports is something that is growing, and I'm certain that they'll be able to kick back into it, albeit a couple of years down the track. But it sounds like a really great place, and it sounds like something that's going to be really popular. It just needs the opportunity to not have a fucking global pandemic, and I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that would have been great. Like, I think because I was talking to Neil and a few of the other guys on Game the System Discord, that we were all heading down for PAX. And of course, as we know, that PAX unfortunately had to be cancelled as well, which would have been a great opportunity to catch up with everyone. And because of that cancellation, it sort of put the bars on it, and it would have been great to check out these places. And I'm just hoping that maybe next year when PAX is on again, that will be able to give it another crack, and we'll be able to check out these places, because it would be really great to get that experience.
100%.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Good. And I can go to Pelly's place as well.
Yeah.
Hey, Pelly.
Yeah, I mean, Bartronica, it's still great. It's still got that Donkey Kong machine that pisses us all off when we play it, because it's got its knacks. But
Johnny got the kill screen on that machine, right?
Yeah, that's
right. Johnny kill screen on that one.
It might have been when it was working properly though.
That's Greg's cap, right?
It's Greg's cap. Yeah. And it like he fixes it up every now and then, but then it just gets beaten. Like I said, it would get
fucking thrashed.
Fridays and Saturday nights, if you've been into that place, are insane. They are just, it's so packed. The floors are dead sticky. There's hardly any machines you can get onto because
the Melbourne
it's so busy.
pub. Yeah,
and it's a brilliant problem for them to have.
Bartronica?
Yeah.
Yep.
Amazing problem for them to have, because it means everything's being put to use and like they're getting clientele money. But like I said, for us arcade idiots, it's just less
that's
exciting.
The thing about Netherworld that's amazing. They get packed as heck too, and the machines get thrashed, but all the staff know if someone's putting their drink on a machine, that's not on. If someone's being a dickhead, they get kicked out like quick smart. And they have I think at least one full-time tech, James, he comes in early, I think 5 days a week, and sorts everything out that he can. And even then, there's machines that just don't work perfectly, because this is like 30 to 40-year-old gear sometimes. It's like it's impossible to have everything running perfectly. But Netherworld does an amazing job, for sure.
Agreed.
But Bartronica, I'm sure that it's run by passionate people and that they love it. But it's just like maybe they can't have a tech come in every day and fix stuff up. Maybe it's just not.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. Yeah. It's I met I think Josh is the name of one of the guys that owns it, and Pelly introduced us, because Pelly I think Pelly, Tekio, and Phil Day, we'd all caught up a couple of times at Bartronica, and each time we catch up, we we'll have some drinks and we'll go and get dinner and whatnot, which is just lovely. And one of the times we were there, I'm pretty sure his name was Josh, one of the co-owners, and it's very obvious that he's got a passion for it. He's just like all of us, a big nerd. But yeah, I think it's just the ability to get someone in constantly. It's if you've seen the location that they're in the heart of the CBD, which Melbourne's a fucking expensive place to run a business. So I can't fault them.
But I think most of their stuff would work like well enough for you to have a really fun time.
Yeah, it's just
while you're having some drinks.
It's just me, the idiot who wants to play Donkey Kong and Point Blank and Speed Race CL5, which are the probably the three, maybe with the exception of Point Blank, a few of the games that make the least money in the place.
Wow. And in saying that, you have an actual Donkey Kong cabinet behind you right now that you could play whenever you want. So.
I could, yeah. You're right.
But when you're drinking, it's easier to play.
Don't do it to yourself.
Yeah. It's more fun when you're inebriated playing that game, for sure.
It is, and with friends. If I had a couple of mates, if Tekio was around all the time, or
hell yeah.
It's just like it's playing it on my own sucks. Like no one wants to play Donkey Kong on their own, and I think it's the reason that a lot of us stream while they're playing, because
it's why I stream. Yeah, definitely.
To have someone else to chat to, or just to keep that part of your brain occupied while you do the monotonous Donkey Kong thing.
Absolutely.
You know what's great about streaming Donkey Kong? When you're starting to have a good game, you get to like 500,000, you start to get more viewers. Someone will message somewhere, Johnny, or someone will put on Donkey Kong forum, this could happen, it could happen. I had like 3 viewers, or I think I had 1 viewer for most of the time on my kill screen game. And then the last 100,000, it went up to like 9 or 10. I was like, I'm fucking famous.
Sure.
Yeah. Funnily enough, so I was streaming a lot. I was playing a lot of Donkey Kong, and I wasn't an affiliate yet, so I didn't have my subscriber link on my Twitch page, and I was, Tekio's one of the good boys. He'll always pop in and he'll always say hello, even if he doesn't stick around. And he'd pop in almost every stream for me. And one afternoon, I'd been streaming for a certain amount, for weeks and weeks. And Twitch, to become an affiliate and to get your link that lets people subscribe to your channel, you have to have streamed for a certain amount of hours, like in the last month. Yes. You have to have an average viewer count of higher than 3.
50 followers.
And 50 followers. So I had 50 followers. I had the hours clocked, but I didn't have the average viewer count.
Yeah, and I don't have that either. Yeah.
one night Tekio was in someone else's channel, and this person was finished streaming, and they had 80 or something viewers, and Tekio's like, "Oh, raid this guy," and he links my chat, and they raid my channel, and they just instantly popped me above the 3 average viewers.
That's
and so
awesome.
I became an affiliate, and I was
sick,
dude. I need to do that.
Just abuse Tekio's privileges as
man.
Sounds good.
That's so cool.
Shit.
My average is like 1.5 viewers. It was getting higher because I was streaming
Mine
consistently, getting good views because I was having good games. But now I'm not streaming at all. So
no, and that's the thing. I think after I became an affiliate, I barely streamed. Like I just, I was like, oh, I've got it now.
I've done it now. Bye.
You peaked.
Yeah, because it doesn't go away either. At least in any reasonable amount of time. So I'm still an affiliate. It's still there.
That's cool, man.
Get up there at some point.
Can I have your login details, please? And
login details, yeah.
I'm gonna change your whole channel to Shaunanigans, and
I'll put you on my auto host, so it automatically hosts you when I'm not live.
Sweet, thanks, man. Maybe I'll stream a playthrough of Metal Gear Solid.
You should.
It's not the most fun game to watch, I don't think.
I would disagree. It's better than Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah.
True.
Yeah. You got me there.
Yep. If you're watching Metal Gear for the story, though, you're probably better off just watching like a YouTube, because you're not watching me fumble around. But maybe people enjoy that.
But, I mean, half of the beauty is watching a friend or watching somebody interesting playing the game. Because you could watch
commentary.
Yeah, exactly.
There's this guy that I've sort of got onto called Bardic Broadcasts, that he does like games like Rastan and Dungeons and Dragons and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And so the Bard is like, they're talking about people that are interesting to watch stream. Yeah, he's amazing. And
cool.
If you do get the time, check out Bardic Broadcast when he's on. He's hilarious, man. He's really good.
I think you said he comments on everything like as if he's back in the day, like very.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he
doth do that.
Talks in like an old English accent.
Old English, that's the one.
That's right.
That's super cool, man.
It's fantastic, man. It's funny.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon it's a good game.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. So, I just finished playing through Metal Gear the other day. When I say finished, I got up to the point where I down Metal Gear Rex, and then it fucking crashes, and then I reboot and it crashes again. I even booted from an earlier save because I've been saving constantly just in case shit like this happened, and it just kept crashing when I got to that point. So I think it's just something dodgy with that port. But it was such a strange experience playing Metal Gear, especially after so many years, because it's not even a genre game that I would usually play. I've never been into stealthy games or military games or like anything of the nature. Never played Hitman, never played anything like that. So it was really nice. It was really fresh, and I could immediately realize why some of my buddies were so attached to the franchise from early on. And I think I'll definitely go on and play some of the newer games afterwards. It was just really, really interesting.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same.
How far did you end up getting, Shaun?
I just got up to fighting Ninja Cyborg, which is a badass character.
Mhm.
Make me feel alive.
Yeah, he's just a sadist.
Super random. Like, maybe I haven't been listening enough to the cutscenes, but he just kind of seems like he comes out of nowhere for no reason.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think the premise is that he's one of the, what are they called? The Foxhounds or something? The Fox something. So it's that team of baddies that are all like, trying to stop you from getting the nuclear codes or whatever.
Okay.
Was Cyborg Ninja before Psycho Mantis, or did you fight Psycho Mantis?
So I beat the guy in the tank, and then I get through to the next part, and he's kind of the next boss just before I get to, I guess, the scientist who has the codes. Yeah. Who's like, he pisses himself.
I'm an otaku. It's just,
yeah. That's so funny. He pisses himself and runs away, like literally pisses himself.
Yeah. Yeah, he literally calls himself an otaku, and he said his name's Otakon, right? Yeah, and he's like, oh, I love anime, and like it's hilarious, it's amazing.
There's some very funny and awkward parts in that. I'm playing the game, and I'm like, I don't know if this would, like, if it got released today, they'd get in trouble. Like the chick saying, like, women have more hiding places than men. Yeah. What? She's basically just saying she hid it in her pussy.
Yeah, it was very, very non-PC, but
for sure. It's really like sexist.
The beauty of this game,
like that's not that sexist. That's kind of just fact that women have more hiding places than men. But it's a weird thing to say. I mean, but then there's like Snake hitting on every woman that comes onto the chat. He's just
every single woman. Yeah.
What about you, Mike? How'd you go with the game?
That's it. Like I played it back in the day, just the demo version only, when I was like a teenager, late teens, and then recently when it came up in the it's in the collection. Played one. I've got 1, 2, 3, possibly 4. I think possibly. Anyway, got into number 1. I was super drunk when I started playing it. Didn't listen to any of the dialogue, none of the hints, none of the tips. Walking around, dying, shooting. I couldn't figure out how to save. I was,
don't drink the worst game, kids.
Experience. Man, it was not a good time to play a game. I should have just played some arcade shooting stuff, and I played Metal Gear Solid instead.
That's like a sober experience, I think. There's so much dialogue, and it's a playable movie, basically, is how I feel.
That's it.
So, and it's a long game too. Like it was probably 10 hours it took me to get through the whole lot.
Oh shit! Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, I think
there was just a lot of
decent length.
A lot of just backtracking, and there was like elevator scenes and stuff that you just have to sort of wait. And there was a couple of points where I got sort of stumped and just fucked around for a bit before I, got to the answer with a bit of trial and error. So like I had trouble with the part where you have to warm up the key card. You have to freeze the key card and then you have to warm it up later.
What?
Haven't got to that yet.
Really strange.
Shit.
Yeah. Frustrating, but then it's like a light bulb thing. You're like, fuck it, of course that's what you've got to do.
Yeah. Man, I got to a bit where I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I like when I played it properly and I wasn't drunk, I got through to Revolver Ocelot and I beat him.
Yeah.
Which is the first boss, so I didn't get very far in the game. But but way before that, I was like, where do I go? I've gone through every door, I've gone through all the corridors, I've crawled through every fucking air conditioning duct. And then I remembered the guy, the chief guy, he's like, look for the different coloured walls. And I was like, wait, I've got C4. I've played Zelda. You have to blow through walls that are different colours and have weird shapes in other games. So I was like, I'll just give C4 a shot. And then you've got straight through to Revolver Ocelot, like 3 rooms after these different coloured walls you blow up with C4.
Yeah, you went full Metal Gear Link.
Yeah, and I was until that point, because I just remembered him saying, look for the different coloured walls. I'm like, why is he telling me this random fact about walls? I thought it was going to be another level or like a different area to go to, but no, it's blow the walls up, go through. Yeah. Simple, like very formula.
there's a good walkthrough on YouTube that's like 6 hours long, and that's the full game. So when I'm getting stumped and I'm getting the shits, I'm not wasting time and like looking around, calling everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
I do what I can to figure it out, and then if I'm like, well, this isn't fun anymore, I'm going to make it fun again and get past this.
That's exactly the thing. I used to be super purist, especially with Zelda games. There was always a Zelda game that the fucking water temple in Ocarina of Time, I remember spending days on that. And I was always really, really purist, and I never wanted to Google anything and never wanted to look at walkthrough books or whatnot. But then I think it was probably, I don't know, the last 5 years or so when I've been going back and playing these games, you get to these points and you're just smashing your head against a wall and it's no longer fun. And so I don't like to spoil, like I won't spoil the game for myself, but I'll just like very occasionally look up what I've got to do next. What am I missing? Because some games just don't present that information well enough.
No, they don't. Especially retro games, right? Like it's not as much of a thing for modern games because I think they just appreciate that people as they get older have less time and less patience to just sit around just like hoping to figure out what's going to happen. Like I like figuring things out if it's like logical and it's not too ridiculous, but sometimes once I've looked something up, I'm like, okay, I was never going to figure that out. That was going to
actually
years.
So I'm playing through Metroid Dread at the moment. I picked up Metroid Dread last week, and
nice.
I'm playing through it. I'm probably halfway through, and it's a sick game. It's such a good game. Like we played Metroid for NES as the first one of these arcade club games, and that was a painful game, but it was a fantastic game, and you could see where the franchise started and like where the roots laid. So Metroid Dread has a lot of ties to the OG Metroid, being like a 2D platformer and whatnot. But there's a few sections where, just like in the original Metroid, there's hidden blocks that you need to shoot to progress to the next area.
Get out.
And very little indication of where you have to shoot. And I mean, I just said how I'm happy to Google things, but I didn't Google anything for Metroid Dread because I was, I don't know, arrogant and stubborn. And it took me hours and hours just to find that I'd shot one wall of this room, but not the other wall. And so I backtracked all the way through the game to the start and then come back, couldn't find where I had to go next. Thought I'd locked myself, and then eventually found the additional 2 blocks, which were just frustrating. So I was very close to Googling it. Don't praise me for that. I should have just Googled it.
Sounds like it's worth getting though. So you recommend it?
I wholeheartedly recommend Metroid Dread. It's
nice.
I feel like it's a really good introduction to the franchise as well. If you haven't played any of the Metroid games, it doesn't really require any. It's one of those really good games where you can play it on its own, but it also has a lot of ties in with like the lore of Metroid and like how everything started and where the original games sort of progressed like story-wise. But it's also the most satisfying Metroid game that I've played, just in like the movement mechanics and like the wall jumping and sliding under things. And you have these things called the Emmy, which are these robots that are trying to capture you and extract your DNA, and they chase you through all of these traditional Metroid environments. And so you've got to jump through small spaces and then slide under, and then like really fast paced get away from these guys. And it's just satisfying. Satisfying is the only word I could use for it.
Man, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, big fan.
When you say extract your DNA, that sounds a bit sus to me.
They suck you off. Basically,
man,
they've got a retractable flashlight that comes out, and it just
wow, man, Nintendo's gone like full adult. With this one,
they've gone full
Metroid Dread. No more Mr. Nice Guy.
They were sponsored by Tenga.
Is that a brand of flashlight or something?
It's like, so if you've been to Japan, David probably knows, but having been to Japan, any store you walk into, they've got like very obvious, very open, like adult areas.
Tenga
everywhere. Tenga are like Japanese brand flashlights.
Okay, I've seen all the fleshlights when I went, but I didn't recognize the brand.
Yeah,
but I guess I'm not a collector like yourself, Jack. So.
Yeah, what can I say? I'm quite the connoisseur.
Turn your camera around, mate. We'll see a whole shelf of.
Yeah, that's it. It's actually it's just board games and manga in front of me and Lego.
Ah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's what an experience, hey? Like those several level department stores, and they're all normal and friendly, and then you go to one level and it's just like fake vaginas and buttholes everywhere.
It's a trip. It's a fucking trip.
Because they're such a conservative like culture, but then they just have these like sections of their culture or even their shops and everything where it's just like, here it is.
That's the thing. I mean, the Japanese, you said it there, like they're conservative, but when it comes to like sex, they're sort of not. They're sort of the opposite. Yeah. And like everybody's just very open, like, oh yeah, I'm reading a hentai magazine in a 7-Eleven. Like I don't know if you saw, like, you walk into a 7-Eleven, there's 2 or 3 guys standing side by side reading magazines at the little magazine stall, and they're always like hentai manga or like lewd comics.
Man, Neil would really fit in there, hey.
Yeah. Just stuff like the maid cafes and, you know, how open they are with all that stuff. It's just really interesting, being that they're like, the Japanese are generally quieter than, like, I mean, Aussies are a good example, a good comparison. Because we're all loud wankers.
Yeah, bloody oath.
Oh, mate. You guys, you should have like seen
maid girls. Sorry, Mike, just quick. I felt bad because like it was super cold in Tokyo and Akihabara, and there's just these girls in their maid costumes outside in the freezing cold, like super cute, like, oh, come to our cafe, and it's just like, man, put on a jumper, sweetheart. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike.
No, that's right. That's all good.
Did you forget what you were going to say, or?
Nah, it's all it's past. It's all good. Yeah.
Oh, I ruined the moment. Oh,
yeah.
How dare you, Shaun? How dare you?
Fucking hell, mate.
I'm sorry.
You just
putting myself on a 5-minute pause.
What about you, Dennis? What have you been playing lately, aside from the arcade stuff? Or is it all arcade stuff?
We've been playing a bunch of different stuff. Obviously, you can see my son running around in the background, and so him and I are sort of indulging in a bit of Mario again, and so just been playing a few different iterations of Mario on Switch. Nice. Also the levels that he builds me on Mario Maker, which is pretty cool.
Beautiful.
He made this level last night when I was trying to play Final Fight, and he comes in with the Switch and he goes, "Dad, I made a level for you," and I sit there and play this level, and it was really good. It was bloody hard, but he still makes things that are unpassable, and I'll try everything to try and get through it. I'm like, you can't get through this bit, and then he'll go, "Oh, okay." Then he'll take it off me and go and fix it and go there. Now try and fix it, cool. And then I'll go through and play through.
I had Mario Maker for the Wii U, and I only played it a little bit. But don't you, when you publish a level or make a level, don't you have to like finish it yourself to publish it?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not really familiar with how they're saved or anything.
Right.
A lot of the stuff, from what I can see, I mean, I think a lot of the stuff that he saves on his Switch, it seems to save locally. I'm not sure if it
right. So maybe
it uploads. Mario Maker
maybe
2. Maybe you've got the option to save them locally or something. I'm not sure.
Probably.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. Maybe it's only the uploaded, like the live maps that you have to.
Yeah, and the other thing about that is playing all the levels that everyone else has created, and that's enough to keep anybody busy for a lifetime if you just playing rando Mario levels. Some of them are really elaborate.
Yeah, and really like well done. I played one that was like the history of Nintendo, and they would go through the years, and they would have the year like made out in blocks, like in one part of the section. And they would do little tributes to each game, and you had like the different sprites. So you were Link and you were Donkey Kong, and it was super cool.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, no, and you're running around as each character too. Like you'd get a mushroom, but instead of getting bigger, you'd turn into Donkey Kong or you'd turn into Samus. And
that's cool.
Yeah, you turn into Link, and there's stuff that you can do as Link, which you have to be Link to be able to get through parts of the level. It's amazing.
Yeah. So this is Mario Maker 2 we're talking about?
Yeah, man.
Right. Yeah, I played the original one, which I don't recall there being the different characters and whatnot. I didn't play all that much either, so.
It's pretty cool. We're going through. We played a bit of Super Mario 64 as well, which is a lot better remake on the Switch than the blocky ass N64 stuff. So it was really fun going and recreating that.
Some listeners are going to be upset with that, mate. The purists, the speedrunners.
Hey man, 64's got blocks.
I have some gripes with the Nintendo 64. So the Nintendo 3D All-Stars, which they released last year as the 25th anniversary of Mario. So they had Mario Sunshine, Mario Galaxy 2, and
Odyssey,
Mario 64.
Okay, yeah. Actually, it was. Yeah, you're right.
Frustratingly though,
Galaxy and 64.
Sunshine, amazing game. My heart lies in that game as one of my favorite Mario games. But Mario 64 was very closely tied with that for me. My issue that I have with the one that's coupled with the All-Stars edition is that it's the Japanese ROM that they re-released after the original game, and it lacks some of the speedrunning glitches. So it's not usable to do things like the BLJs, the backwards long jumps and stuff that you'll see in any speedruns. And it just really, and there's just a few other changes in slight changes in the way that Mario moves and it controls, that it just baffles me that they chose that version as opposed to the popular one which everybody chooses to play in speedrunning.
Yeah,
but
that is weird.
I mean, that's just a purist asshole point of view as well. That's just as somebody who loves watching speedrunning of that game and who
isn't that one of the flashlights you have, the name purist asshole?
It should be. No, that's the one that
I couldn't just keep that in my head.
No, that's my self-branded flashlight. Coming to Kickstarter next year.
All right. Yeah, good one.
Get your pledges in now.
Yeah, Kickstarter. Jack Philippi, purist asshole.
That's it. Oh man.
Works for all genres of gaming as well. Yeah, purist arsehole. Yeah. It can be any level.
Yeah.
Oh, this is not FPGA. This is not even real arcade. This is like MAME. Fuck you guys. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Aaron's going to buy 3 at least.
Yeah, I'll charge him double.
Yeah, he'll buy double.
Yeah. Oh man.
What else are you playing?
I think on the Mario 64, no, I think the game is perfectly. I think the choice of ROM was probably a better choice for someone picking up the game new. The camera controls are slightly nicer and whatnot, but I'm just an asshole. So
the speedrunning is the coolest part for me of any videos I've watched. A speedrunning history of Super Mario 64 is insane.
Yeah,
that's so super cool.
Sure.
Those the summoning salt videos on YouTube. Oh my god, they're so good.
Yeah.
And even Carl Jobs did a few small videos, didn't he? Which were fascinating.
Yeah, he does good stuff.
Yeah, he does.
Controversial fella. I love it.
Oh yeah, he is. He is at the moment. Lots of drama going on in that realm.
Sued by Billy. But who hasn't been sued by Billy at this point?
That's also true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Has he not been sued
Billy, by? Don't sue me.
Yeah. Has he not been sued by Water yet? And those guys.
I think
probably.
If that's not coming,
it's got to be.
It'll be out there soon.
Yeah.
That's a whole rabbit hole.
That's crazy. Hey, I think he did good work there, but also you got to be super careful. Defamation wise, you got to have real solid.
Careful, you'll fall off that.
That's what the awkward thing is as well, because defamation works differently in Australia versus the United States. I think I don't remember which one is which, but in one of the countries, defamation doesn't matter whether you're saying factual information or not. It only matters whether you've defamed whoever you're talking about, whether you've reduced their reputation in any way, regardless of whether it's true or not.
That's so dumb, hey.
But the opposite doesn't count in the other of the two countries, and so
I think Australia is the more reasonable law.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
What I remember, I think I learned a little bit about that. Yeah, it has to be like if it's true and it's good for the public to know it in Australia, and like obviously it's good for the public to know if someone's cheating because it's affecting that community. Then it's all good. It's not defamation. It's like statement of fact. Yeah, but I think in the States,
obviously, I mean, you can be sued in either of the two jurisdictions as well. Obviously, if you get sued in the United States and lose a lawsuit by not showing up or not participating or whatever, you just you can't go to the States. Otherwise, you'll have to cop the penalties. There's a whole
whoa.
But
there's definitely some dodgy stuff happening in the video game market, from what I can tell.
Oh yeah, the water stuff is
doesn't look good. I wouldn't use them. Seeing what I've seen, like giving what was it part of the video where he showed there was a break in the seal that was clearly viewable, but the seal still got like an A++ grade. Yeah, and one of the things come on, guys.
It's sort of a problem with all grading services though. Like water has its own issues, but from like a purely like grading standpoint, even like Beckett grading, Beckett's usually pretty well renowned, but PSA grading stuff, a lot of people will send in the same trading card 4 or 5 times, just in the hopes that it'll get a higher grade, and often it will come back with a different grade than it did. A better grade than it did the first time.
Is that Pokemon cards?
Pokemon cards or Magic the Gathering cards or Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Right. Okay.
And they have a lot of different methods of determining a grade, but at the end of the day, it's humans that are doing it, and so there's always that element of like, with water or whatever other services, you've got the issues of potential corruption and like having buddies send in their stuff or sending in your own stuff and getting higher graded things. Like it's just a bit uncomfortable.
It's hard to avoid. It's it's just as long as there's like fair enough if the grade is like tiny bit higher or lower, but the big inconsistencies with like seals actually being broken and then still getting like a really good grade. And there was a video of someone got their Pokemon game back and they had asked for the deep clean, and they had actually it was sealed and they had ripped the seal from trying to get the sticker off, and they had said that was already ripped underneath the sticker when it clearly wasn't, when they showed the comparisons. And Water was like, but the grade of your game won't change, don't worry. It's like, well, how can it not change? You've broken the seal. Like how you're grading the seal, how can it not be worse than what it was going to be? It's just some dodgy shit that I don't like the whole seal thing anyway. Like I do understand it, but I'd rather be able to play the games. And
that's sort of how I feel. I don't collect much anymore. Like I used to have big collections of games and some complete in box stuff. The only exception is these two bad boys, and they're not in good quality and they're not sealed.
Here come the fleshlights. Sorry.
The two Zelda 64, and you can see this box is beaten up. Like you can see the creases and whatnot. This one's pretty pristine. It's got a couple of scuffs around, but it's not bad.
Did you buy that off eBay?
So I got gifted these by my mum. So I got this one at a Game Traders in Morayfield years and years ago, maybe a decade ago. And I paid $70 for it.
For that gold and all.
Yeah, and then I told my mum for my birthday I wanted Majora's Mask in box, and she fished out this one from I think from eBay or Facebook Marketplace or something.
No
And
ways.
the box is beaten up, but it was like I hadn't played the game, so I cracked it open to play it.
Sick.
And yeah, I just tend to do that. Like I won't buy things to like as collectibles anymore. I'll always buy things to. So I bought this, which is a Minecraft vinyl, soundtrack vinyl.
That's pretty cool.
Super hard to come by, but I've got a record player, and so I cracked it open.
Oh,
It's got
man,
the
that's fucking
translucent
dope.
green.
Oh my god. I don't like
LP.
Minecraft, but that's sick.
Oh, it's
That's sick.
I don't hate
I love
Minecraft. I've never played it.
Oh, I love it. I live and die for Minecraft. I feel like maybe once every year and a half, me and a bunch of my friends will just spin up a server and we'll all reconvene and build a world together. And it's just one of my favorite experiences.
That is cool.
It gets me really emotional. It's one of those few video games that can really like hit those heartstrings.
Man, that's cool. When you're playing with mates and building a world, I mean, that's beautiful. Ooh, what is this?
Contra!
Oh.
That's awesome.
I've got something to show you, boys. Give me 1 sec.
Why does yours show up? But when
Oh man.
Oh, there it is.
Beauty. Have you guys?
Burger time.
Have you guys seen one of these?
I have.
No.
Online.
What is
only?
This is the GB Boy color.
GB Boy?
Oh, that's really loud. Who's playing the game?
Sorry.
So this is the GB Boy color. It's not a Game Boy Color. It's by a company called Kongfeng. You can see Kongfeng. Well, you probably can't see that, but it's got, instead of the Nintendo embossed logo, it's got Kongfeng.
Yeah. Is it the Korean? Is it the Korean one?
I think it's a Chinese company.
Oh, okay.
That's racist.
But
one.
it's a. Let's see if it. Sometimes it's a bit dodgy reading cartridges, but
it plays actual Game Boy stuff, right?
It plays actual Game Boy and Game Boy Color games.
Wow.
So it's got some kind of FPGA or emulator in it.
Wow.
And if you play it without a cartridge, it has like a 60 in one built-in, 188 in one ROM.
That's decent, man.
They're all horrible. And I took it apart and noticed that there's an actual Game Boy Advance cartridge that's soldered into the Game Boy.
Yes.
And there's a switch in the cartridge slot that, if you've got a cartridge in there, it loads the cartridge instead of that.
Oh my god,
that is so good.
But it's unironically actually a really good portable console when it boots up. I don't think it likes my Pokemon cartridge, but I think it was like $60. It's got a proper backlit screen. The buttons are nice. It's really cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
man, you should have said Shaun would be able to mod you one, man.
Yeah, well,
no, Jack can do that himself.
Yeah, I'm a big boy.
Yeah, Jack, this baby here is the one that you did for me.
So yeah,
and it's been absolutely amazing.
Beautiful. I'm glad.
And I've been using it every second day still, man. Like I've got a one of the EverDrive X3s, about 30 or 40 different little ROMs on it, and just cycling through them and exploring.
I've got one of these guys, which is a I can't remember what they're called, a USB. It's got a little mini.
Micro
PS3.
It's got a
thing.
64 megabyte ROM on it.
Not bad.
Which is fine.
Played Up podcast does not condone piracy, kids.
I do.
It is not awesome,
but our guest
very very bad.
For old consoles like this, you don't have a lot of alternatives.
Yeah,
it's
fine. Yeah.
I've got these bad boys. I don't know if you're ever aware of these guys.
negative.
Are they the ones that you can like
these are the
shops? You reflash them at shops in Japan.
These are the Nintendo GB memory cards.
Oh.
And they had
cool.
a Game Boy version and they had a Super Nintendo, Super Famicom version. And what you used to be able to do is you used to be able to go into the Japanese equivalent of a Blockbuster or a Video Easy. I'm not sure what the Japanese equivalents were called. So you used to be able to pay them X amount of dollars, and they plug this into a GB memory station, which had a cartridge slot for the Super Famicom and the Game Boy, and you pay them however much, and they load on a ROM to one of the 7 ROM slots on the game.
Sick.
And so you could take it. It was downloadable. The first downloadable games, really.
That's so cool. DLC
really
local.
cool.
DLC.
Yeah,
Japan just does everything better, in terms of gaming.
Yeah.
They are just the kings. I want to go again so bad.
Yeah.
I'd like to go again once.
It'd
be really good.
In terms of
go.
Wouldn't that be a trip? A boys trip to
damn.
Podcast.
I'm down. It's
it's research for the podcast,
Tax deductible.
Akihabara.
Tax deductible.
A really cool
just
thing.
get a pallet of stuff and just send it back to Brisbane.
Oh, mate.
Wouldn't that be
Yes, I'm going to hit up my our sponsor, Spacey's, see if they can sponsor us to go to Japan. And while we're there, we get them some arcade boards for the arcade. Hey, pays for itself. Are you listening, John McNeil, Jerry? Please.
Yep.
Dude.
Business trip. We can't take Jerry. He's probably not allowed out of the state.
There's nothing business orientated about old Jerry. No. Can you imagine Jerry in Japan with the used panties machines and the flashlights?
No.
Jerry
would stumble across him like in a corner in like Akihabara, just covered in flashlights and used panties and just drunk as hell. Like, oh look, Jerry's already homeless. He's already only been here 5 days.
Oh, Jerry, I haven't seen that bloke in a while. I mean, as long as I've seen you guys.
Yeah.
The last time I saw you in person, Mick and Dennis as well, probably is the last time I saw Shaun.
Shit.
It would have been.
Whoa.
At the fucking Eka.
That was a while ago.
God damn.
2
years ago.
Yeah, I think I managed to get up to Brisbane once in the last year or two. And I was up there for 2 days, and we went into lockdown, and I had to come back.
Yeah.
That's so shit.
Yeah.
I remember those times back before I had a kill screen.
How times change, huh?
Where's your crown, mate? I expected you to show up wearing the robe and garb, like
ceremonial robes and title belt. Yeah,
I just have the shirt, and I have the You see that? That's a mini version my parents sent over of the
beautiful.
Of the ultimate
of the shiny finch. Yeah.
How
man.
cool
Beautiful.
is this? My parents, it was for my birthday. They got organized this.
Cool.
They went into Netherworld. They said they were treated like royalty. Like everyone was like, "Oh, you're Shaun's parents." How good is that? That made me so happy. Like everyone said. My mum said she was super proud because of how everyone was like talking me up, like as if I'm a nice guy. That made me so happy.
So nice.
They mustn't know you very well.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Wow, you're well looked after, Shaun, with your care packages and pictures being sent up and clothing and
absolutely spoiled. I mean, Mike organized all the pins and so much cool shit that got sent over. I need to make
Dennis helped out massively on that.
Did he? He's
Dennis.
Nah,
mate.
I tried to stop it and it went ahead.
What are you doing? Shaun's a dickhead. Don't send him anything.
It's so much money. Don't send
that. Dude, it's not cheap, hey, to send stuff to Germany.
It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad.
He did a Kickstarter. He got 50 cents off everyone from Netherworld. And sweet. I'm definitely very well looked after, and Michelle like gets packages from my mum here and there as well.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
oh yeah,
we can see
Tim Tams.
Yeah, she spends over $100 on one like decent sized box to send.
She's nice.
She can't help herself. Shout out to Mum. Shout out to you, Mrs. Ruland.
G'day, Mum.
Hey, Mum. She does. I don't think she knows what a podcast is, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no Neil around for any mum jokes either, so it's sorely missed.
Oh my god, something's like in his head right now, like something's happening. He can feel it. Like, there's a mum joke that I'm missing out.
Spidey senses are going off.
Yep. Yeah. My mum joke senses are tingling.
Oh man. Shaun,
sorry.
So you were saying that Germany's got fuck all in the way of arcades. What about like game store stuff and like retro consoles and stuff? Is there much?
There's
a sweet sort of barren.
Yeah, no, it's actually like really good for picking up some retro games. Like I bought 12 Famicom games the other day for like €35, so about €3 per game, which is like $5 per game. Shit. And one of those games I looked up, this is actually worth like €20 on its own.
Cool. They're PAL, aren't they? 50 hertz.
Famicom. No, it's
Famicom's NTSC-J.
But I have a Trinitron, I have a widescreen Trinitron. It looks like one of the first widescreens because it's not like, it doesn't look as new as some of the like the later widescreens, and it has the full like curve, but it's a little widescreen Trinitron that I picked up, and that plays everything which I was hoping would happen. Cool. And I can play things in wide mode or skinny mode, so I got to get a PS2.
Oh my god, damn, that's awesome.
Watch some movies.
So good.
On it.
Yeah,
1080p movies, man. Wow.
Oh yeah, got a lot.
Well, I don't think it only has AV in. It only has AV in, so like composite.
I think the PS2 output 720.
Did it? Even through composite?
Yeah. Well, so the TV itself doesn't give a fuck about the resolution. But the console will still output at
what it outputs.
Yeah.
Tannehill's listening, thinking, noob.
I know. That's not right. That's not right.
I know.
Just calm down, John.
I know the PS2 can. The PS2 can output 1080 for Gran Turismo 4. I don't know what else it can output 1080 for, but that's on like old school HD, widescreen TVs, which no one ever had.
Oh, right. Okay. So Google tells me PlayStation 2 may natively output video resolutions from 480i to 480p, while other games such as Gran Turismo 4 support upscaled 1080i resolutions. So
1080i.
Interesting.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching some like actual DVDs on the PS2 through a widescreen Trinitron.
It's cool, man. It's like back in the old days.
Yeah, for sure.
How they were meant to be watched, how they were designed to be watched. Yeah.
Boot up Shrek on the DVD. Shaun, did you post recently about a different CRT that you had that you were trying to get working?
Yeah, the Grundig.
Posted in one of the chats.
Yeah. In the CRT collective. No, so I just went and bought a Trinitron because that just didn't have it says 50/60 hertz on the back of the TV, and I went because I didn't have a remote, so I went and got a universal remote, and I still couldn't get it to work. It would just show up in black and white. So I think it could play the right speed and everything for my Famicom, AV Famicom, which is like the top loader Famicom. But it was in black and white, and I was just like, nah. So I said to Michelle, I have to get another TV because this isn't working. She's like, why can't you just play it in black and white? I'm like, you don't understand. She always questions why I play games with sound all the time as well, because sometimes a Game Boy can sound a bit annoying.
With sound?
Yeah, it's not questions, but she's like, can't you play it with no sound? I'm like, hey, would you watch a movie without sound?
Weird.
You know, some people just don't get it. I love you, babe. But...
yeah,
but
that's funny.
It's I got it working with the Trinitron. That was like €20, so like $30, and I think it's quite a rare model. I've never really seen one.
Beautiful.
Around, so
I've been struggling
with the remote too, the original remote.
Yeah, that's something. I was sort of on the prowl for this guy. For any VGA CRT monitor.
Yeah.
Yeah, agents.
Hi.
Yeah.
Go down here.
You found me.
So this CRT in the background named Dennis.
Ooh.
So I was struggling. So Facebook Marketplace had a couple of listings for shitty 15-inch to 17-inch CRTs, all with really horrible native resolutions and just generally terrible specs. And it feels like the CRTs are still floating around and people have them, but nobody's bothering to offload them, or nobody bothers to upload them on Marketplace or anything.
Yeah, so everybody's still hoarding all of theirs. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I ended up paying
or they
$40
think that
for
they're
this.
not worth anything, right? Some people just think,
exactly.
I'm just going to take it to the dump.
That happens heaps, man. Yeah, I speak to all the guys in Game the System Discord. Those guys see all of the all the curbside collections that you see in Sydney, like when they go for walks, that they post stuff weekly of CRTs, like perfectly good CRTs just left out on the curb. And there's all sorts of stuff, like awesome little 34 centimeters, big 68s. Mark found this massive rear projection thing that was just sitting out on the curb, and then he was out on a run and just picked it up and liked it.
The bummer with the curbside, the ones that have been thrown on the curb, is that you've got to get them quick, because not only will people take them if they know what they are, but people come along when the suburbs
they'll just kick them and smash them.
Well, people come, they take them apart and they salvage the copper and they sell the copper.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Which is
cut the cords and all.
They were saying,
get a job, you fucking bums.
You have to be quick in Sydney, in particular in specific suburbs, which I won't mention, Western Sydney. People just go past and just put their foot through a CRT screen and keep walking, and so you go, CRT, and it's totally freshly smashed because there's glass and dust and stuff on the ground. You're just
it's a bummer.
So nasty. You don't need to do that. There's scabs like us that would love that stuff.
It's your retro gamer's worst nightmare.
Oh man, there's well, there is businesses that I know that Johnny tells the story frequently about his CRTs that he almost sold to someone who
to destruction rooms.
That's right.
Smash them.
It's so legendary. Johnny had the deal all set up. The guy's going to come pick him up, and then he's like, "So what are you using them for?"
He's like, "No,
we're going to smash them." I'm sorry, mate. I can't do it. I just can't do it.
No deal.
I love Johnny. I love Johnny.
Spacey's Cafe and Arcade in Toowoomba kindly sponsors the Play It Up podcast. If you are ever in or near Toowoomba, we think you're crazy if you don't give them a visit. Spacey's has loads of arcade and pinball machines, retro consoles, and even air hockey. They have an excellent selection of food and drinks for the whole family, and have some great beers on tap. Spacey's is open Wednesday through Sunday, and you can check them out on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with the awesome events they have going on there. Spacey's is located at 2 Club Lane in Toowoomba. Take a trip back to the 80s with Spacey's.
Jeff is an anomaly, if I'm not wrong. So he hasn't been playing Donkey Kong all that long.
He didn't. He didn't. 4.5. Let's be honest.
5 months, I think.
Jesus!
How dare he? How fucking dare he?
I think he was playing a hell of a lot, and he's obviously just a talented gamer, but just grinds it as well.
Yeah. Jeffrey took the timeline of what people would normally do over a 2-year period or something like that, and compressed it into nightly blocks of 4 hours each go. Insane. and just kept on bashing his head against the wall until he kept progressing through, and obviously he got the results in the end. So
I just haven't had the heart for Donkey Kong in a while. I was grinding a bit leading up to the Kong off, and then I found out I couldn't come up, and I genuinely haven't turned it on since.
Yep.
So you put your foot through the
all your fault,
didn't you? Yeah.
Yours is an LCD, isn't it?
It's got an LCD in it now. Yeah. I did have a CRT, which was just one that had been gutted from a TV, from a CRT TV. But now it's just running the LCD, and it's running better than it's ever run. So,
Matt talked you into getting an LCD, didn't he?
Well, no, not to his preference, because he's got one of the proper ones from Mike's Arcade.
Yeah.
My one's just a just a VGA LCD that I found with like a CGA to VGA adapter.
Yep.
And it purrs.
I was going to say it still would work perfectly fine for DK. Be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Like the one that that Matt's got, I think just has that built in. So
yes.
It's been I haven't got the Mr. Video working. I think the Mr. Video doesn't like my CGA to VGA adapter. And like there's some signal issues, but yeah, I just haven't been bothered to go back into it and actually get to the bottom of it because
Okay.
Maybe the one that his name is escaping me. What's the guy who does he's making like repro DK boards and everything.
Adam Lee.
Yes, because I was trying to think of his moniker. What's his other name that he goes by?
Kaizen.
Kaizen.
Yes. No, so I actually I got in touch with Tanner, who's one of the two or three guys who are producing the Mr. Video boards.
Yes.
And I had a bit of a chat to him, and he wasn't entirely sure what could be causing it because I was still getting video output to my capture card, but it was really like the sync was just really off. And so there's something wrong, maybe just some bad connections and like atypical connectivity or connections that I've got set up. So at some point I'll get to the bottom of it. I just haven't bothered to actually dive in.
Yeah.
I'm not using the most expensive, the most decent capture card setup or anything either. So
the recommended one is like I think it's a Japanese one that you've got to buy for the little adapter that goes from your either composite or S-Video, whichever one you use. And I think it's like some sort of something data. I forget the name of it, but I've got a couple of them. If you need a spare, I can send you that and see if that gets you going.
I'll when I eventually can be bothered, I'll
put your pussy away.
See if I can sort it out. Can't help myself. I just have to flaunt it when I can. When I eventually can stomach a bit of Donkey Kong again, I'll see. I'll probably be able to get it sorted, but it's good to know.
Yeah. Oh, well, you've got a plan B if you need it. But I've been the same. Been the same with Donkey Kong at the moment. I haven't really played a lot since Kong off. It was sort of a bit of a saturation for me, just playing and trying to improve, and again beating my head against the wall, and I almost burnt myself out playing it again. And I remember that happened sort of probably about a year or so ago as well. And so I think that my little boy plays it more than I do at the moment, and so he was playing that today, and that's what everyone could hear just before with like DK playing in the background. So,
love it,
man. I had that too. The like oversaturation. I was like, fuck this, I want to actually play some games that are fun and I can get some progression without the RNG like kicking me in the ass. And then I came back to it. I got the 8-bit joystick, and then I got the Sanwa 4-way gate, the 4-way/8-way gate, and I had like a nice setup again with a joystick. That's why I hadn't played it for like a year, because I was in Germany, didn't want to use a keyboard, and didn't want to like just use a controller, which I had tried, but it just wasn't the same. And then I thought, okay, if I'm going to do it this time, I'm going to do it till I get the kill screen, and then it's done. It's out of my life. And
did you clock it on?
Luckily, Yep. So unfortunately,
filthy bastard,
filthy MAME player, but I always played better on arcade machines. So for me, I feel like it was
it's harder.
I feel like it's a bit harder. I don't know.
I mean, kill screen regardless. So well done.
It's a massive achievement. Neil was playing yesterday. We were talking last night, and I think he got 574 or something like that, which is really near his PB. I think he's at 590 or something like that, and I think he got a wild barrel, and he was just. I didn't see him on video, but he was devastated. Poor guy.
That's brutal, man. That happened to me a bunch. I was getting like 600Ks, 500Ks regularly, and you do it enough, you just keep doing it, then my nerves got less and less. And on my kill screen game, I was like the calmest I had been. I was still fucking pumped, especially since I got past my PB when I was in the 700Ks. And I had a man left. I was like, oh God, my last man was like 450K, I think.
Yep.
Which is one of the best men I've ever had.
That's awesome.
And then, but that's my advice would be just, yes, it's devastating, but keep going.
Got to push through it.
And the nerves will just like go away. My nerves stopped a lot after the 700K point when I beat my PB, because from then on, I saw it kind of as a bonus. Even if I don't get the kill screen, then at least I've gotten PB and my nerves are a bit better. But I think just really not oversaturating yourself. I was playing not every day, but maybe every second or third and streaming. And I was actually still really enjoying it. And that was a big part of it as well, because I would have some music on. I would be mucking around, like if anyone was chatting on the stream, and it made it a lot better than just like banging your head against the wall day after day.
Yeah, it'll really take the edge off it, I suppose, or otherwise I'm pretty sure that like I'd need to be able to break that monotony, or otherwise I'd sort of get inside my own head a little bit too much, and that's when I start to second guess everything a bit too much. And like it's important that like you have really good judgment on what to do and what not to do, but I sort of I think that like you said, the nerves kick in, and it just you question your own judgment, and then it's too late.
For sure. You come fully out of autopilot, and then you're spending these like milliseconds second guessing instead of just reacting naturally and moving where you need to. And
that'll be the few pixels difference. It'll save your ass sometimes with like some stuff, and man, nasty.
I think I could get a kill screen pretty regularly as long as the that sounds really cocky, but that's a big if you don't get bad RNG on the pies, because that for me was always the roughest. But I figured out some things how to survive more. Like if I'm hanging down the bottom, try to hang around the left as much as possible, because you know the firefoxes gravitate towards the right, and just getting used to watching the whole board and where like using your kind of peripherals up and down to see like where you might have a little gap, and then quickly go up before, because you can get actually quite close to the firefoxes. And
if I'm not mistaken,
same with rivets, you can get really close to firefoxes, and the more you learn, the more you play, you just sort of know where it's safe and where it's not, and you have a lot more confidence then approaching those levels, instead of like, oh, I have to stay so far away because I don't want to get trapped, that kind of thing. Like, sorry, Jack.
No, I was just going to say, if I'm not mistaken, the firefoxes, they move faster when they go to the right, don't they?
Sure do.
I'm pretty sure I heard that from
never heard
Tekio, maybe.
In rivets,
or maybe somebody while
in
Tekio
rivets,
was playing.
In rivets, they move slower to the left, and then they can. So they've got sort of two speeds from what I've seen, that left and right, but then they can make a fucking bolt to the right, and I've seen it so many times, and I've been caught out by it a lot.
Oh yeah.
Matt was the one that mentioned it, and I've seen it quite a lot.
And down the ladders really fast and up really slow.
Yeah. And read the Kong manual. That really helps. I read the full thing, and it gave me like the actual, the DK manual that's done by
the Kong, the book of
the Bible.
Kong. Yes,
I read that and like learned some things about how
it is worth it.
Definitely worth it. Yeah. Firefoxes only go down ladders and up ladders if they're coming from the left, I believe. So that if they're on the right of the ladder, you can still kind of hang out on the ladder.
Very, very interesting to know.
I'm pretty sure that's always the case. Now that
I've heard mixed,
a few weeks since I read it. Yeah,
I've heard mixed responses about that book. Like I can't remember who I was talking to about it. Maybe last Kong Off, like the last Kong Off that I went to, which was the year before last, or the year before this one, last year. Anyways,
I don't even know what year.
So
it is.
whenever I was, me neither. Time is a blur at the moment. But I was told that the book was borderline useless because there was just a lot of stuff that straight up wasn't true. And I suppose there's just been a lot that's changed since that book was put out. But from the sounds of it, that's not the case. So
Yeah, it is still a Google Doc, so maybe it's been updated a bit.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking about a different book, because there was an actual How to Play Donkey Kong leaflet-sized book.
Yes.
Oh wow.
That's from back in the day, right?
Yeah, from the 80s.
No, this is updated by some of the better Donkey Kong players, and
Gotcha.
it's Google Doc, and it's I've got a copy on my Google Drive, and
if you don't mind, I think that'd be really
it's not
cool.
that long, and it's good and they have like picture diagrams and lots of cool stuff, and it's just
lots of pictures.
Yeah, and and it seems like long because it's 70 something pages, but there's huge what's the thing called on the side of the page where there's space?
Margins?
Yeah, there's huge margins. I'm not speaking enough English. I haven't said margins in like 2 years, probably. There's big margins.
I think the book was called Playing Donkey Kong to Win.
Yeah. That's like real old school.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Which would be cool to have. I think Johnny has copies of it. Or a copy.
Yeah, I think one of the arcade boys has it. But yeah, they also just said don't bother getting it to actually learn, because it's just crap.
Watch. Yeah, I would say watch if you want to get a kill screen. Watch my game. Watch Jeffrey's, because it's like the same level. You're just trying to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe mine even more because I got a lower score. Or watch Bushel's game, because I don't think he point pressed at all. And you watch how they approach things, but also read the Kong manual. But only if you want to get a kill screen and lose like lots of your sanity. If not, just
it's not something that I've really.
Let's get a tea break, guys.
See you, Mike.
Oh.
That's all right. I don't know. I haven't been on the kill screen grind yet. My PB is 400k. All of the Donkey Kong that I've watched is pretty much Tekio, to my to my dismay. And watching Tekio at this level as someone who's looking to get a kill screen, or even just to get PBs, is not what you want to do, because he's playing optimally to get the most points he can and squeeze the most points out of every level. And he's playing especially risky, for that purpose. And obviously they're applied risks, but even still, like it's not how I should be playing the game, and I often forget that. So probably something that I should pay a little bit more attention to. Maybe some other streams that aren't Mr. Tekio himself.
I had a break from.
Sorry,
I had a break from Donkey Kong recent. Oh, you're right. It was just wanted to try and just give myself a bit of variety, I guess, and just play a couple of different games and just go back to it after, So that's why I sort of went into. I always wanted to 1cc Final Fight, and that's why I've been sort of getting back into that. And I got to the point when I was playing it last time that I could get all the way through to the last level just before what's called the hit squad, which is like the very last sort of corridor before you fight Belger, who's like the bad guy at the end. And so I got to the doorway before the last corridor, which is a hell of a long way through the game. I could never close it out. And so I've started playing that again. And now I'm getting to the same spot. Just sort of yesterday, I got there twice, which was cool. So
buddy.
Just wanted to get back in there. And that's a pretty damn hard game to 1cc. So do
nice,
that.
Man. You're the beat 'em up king.
I like beat 'em ups because that's all I played on NES. But
it's interesting because I come from the other side where I didn't grow up playing beat 'em ups. I think honestly, like one of the first beat 'em ups I played was with you at Kong Off a couple of years back when you were we were smashing some Final Fight. So it's interesting. They're just sort of like we were talking about Metal Gear Solid before. They're not they're barely on my radar as like a game category that I choose to pick up. So it's only stuff like that. It's only sort of exposing yourself to friends and stuff that really push you out of your comfort zone. One that I have considered picking up in recent times is the Scott Pilgrim.
I heard that's great.
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World that was re-released after like 8 years or 9 years of it being unavailable. Like you can no longer download the game from anywhere. So they released that last year, and No. Yeah, so I'm going to pick that up at some point and play through that, and that's a beat 'em up, but I think it's a little bit off what the traditional like Final Fight and Double Dragon and whatnot.
Streets of Rage 4 is another modern one that I just picked up recently actually, and it came with a little keyring and everything. So that was pretty cool. So that's another like old school style, but with modern like quality of life improvements.
Yeah. Overall, it hasn't been received hasn't been received too bad. I think there are maybe it was criticized for trying to be a bit too nostalgic, I think, but apparently it's still a really good game and it's worth playing. So
yeah, one of the podcasts
I'd love to check it out.
The guy loves beat 'em ups, Ian from the Completely Unnecessary podcast, and it's his like favorite game of all time, he's saying. So I was like, all right, I respect his opinion. I will go pick it up, and played it for a little bit, but I've got other stuff that I'm working on first. So yeah. One of those is Metal Gear Solid. We haven't really spoken about it much at all, have we?
No, we haven't. But I mean, that's kind of the reason that I run these is so that we can play them if we want to, and if we don't, we can at the very least catch up. So I've liked it so far. I played some games that I never would have played. Like Metroid was just never a game that I would have played. The original NES Metroid. Same as what did we play? It wasn't Alex Kidd. It was Wonder Boy 3.
Oh, yeah.
Dragon's Trap.
No, Dragon's Trap. That's the one.
Yeah. That's sort of. I mean, we were talking about remakes just a moment ago. There's been some really interesting remakes and refurbs of classic games recently, and like Wonder Boy is a classic one. I noticed. I think yesterday I shared with a couple of friends that the classic Joe and Mac Caveman Ninjas is being remade, which I'm stoked about.
Wait.
And I don't know. There's been a couple of others like Sonic Mania, was it? Which I thought was fantastic. It wasn't a remake, but it was sort of like a new game made in the format of the original Sonic games, which I've always loved. So I don't know. I think we're in a really cool time for like new and fresh stuff to be brought to like the arcade world. So
yeah, definitely.
Sweet.
I think that Sonic Mania was made by, I think it was a group of fans that had made like a homage to Sonic, and then Sega actually hired them or something to.
Yeah. I think they were leading a couple of fan projects. I think whether they were like bootleg Sonic games or they were mods for the original games, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it was just a bunch of Sonic fans who had made some really cool stuff, and they were like, I guess we'll just hire you guys.
Wow.
And it's funny, that's a bit of an origin story. Like, so Undertale has a similar origin story in that Toby Fox, the guy who created it, like learned how to do all the stuff he did by making mods for the original Mother games, the Earthbound games. And that's why it's so similar. Like Undertale has such a similar playstyle to the original Earthbounds because that's where it all came from. I always found that really fascinating.
That's cool.
That's super cool.
That actually that reminds me. We were talking Metal Gear Solid before. Have any of you guys ever played the original Metal Gear on NES or Snake's Revenge, like the sequel or anything like that?
No, I haven't, but I want to.
I think I'm the only one.
I'm gonna be real. I thought Metal Gear Solid was the first one.
Nope.
Evidently, it's not.
I think that's what he references to, right? When he's
talking
says,
about
like,
Fox,
hasn't been the first. That she's like, I've got to fight Metal Gear.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time, and
wouldn't be the first time.
And there was also a novel released on the first NES game, which I read when I was little as well. So there's all these there's all these hints in for the video game that are in the novel.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Jack, you were talking before about like it's one of those like with the games these days that like they're a bit more accessible, that you can really sort of you can make your way through a game like that. It's difficult, but like you still can, and that Mike, I think was it you, Mike, that was saying that you had to use your C4 to get through like the walls,
yeah,
and that you have to nut it out. But like the NES game was like there were no cues for anything. You had to figure it out, and so that's where reading the novel actually helped to do that and push you through. And so I was bashing my head against the wall. Mum bought me the book, and so I think I was probably 8 or 9 years old then, and sit there and smash through this little novel, and then got to get through and finish the game. And it was
that's a multimedia experience. Like
it was immersive.
I forget that I was talking before about being an arcade purist and a purist when it comes to playing retro games, and I guess I've forgotten that when I was growing up playing these games for console on NES, Super Nintendo, 64, etc., I would often have the walkthrough guides. I would have the
Prima
books, the Prima books for all the Pokemon and stuff, and
oh wow.
But like part of the experience of playing games when you're younger is, I remember especially with Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire for Game Boy Advance. And I remember going to school with our Game Boys, and it was talking to your friends at school where you would learn how to do things. Because at the end of Ruby and Sapphire, you have these this like weird this Easter egg hunt where you've got to decode Braille off a wall, and then you've got to do specific movements and get around, and you unlock like additional dungeons and this and that. And I would never have got through that without external help. And I think all of that help just came from friends that I was talking to at school who had done it, and friends who had the strategy guides. So it's I think maybe I need to reevaluate how I attack games today.
Yeah, before Google, I think you had friends,
Yeah. You had to talk to people. Be like, hey man, did you? Or you read like a number of magazines that are out there.
K-Zone. Or like just the ones that came with the demo discs and whatever else.
I used to get Hyper, and that was like
Hyper, man.
Still going, right? I think it's still going. I think so.
Damn,
I remember seeing it in the newsagents like not too long ago. My favorite is just Retro Gamer.
I've still got my first Hyper magazine, and it's got Yoshi's Island on the front. It's from 1994. It's got the big like blue thing coming out of the water, and like Yoshi jumping over it, sort of thing. It's a sick cover.
50 cents and a bag of red frogs for it.
Yeah.
Looks like sadly the final issue was in 2019.
Oh damn!
From December 1993 to August 11th, 2019.
Big run. Big run.
That's a hell of a run,
yeah.
Well done.
I think one of the big things about the way that we play games, obviously being older, you have less time to punch into games, but I think a lot of it has to do with our attention spans. I mean, I speak for myself that I just don't, if I get frustrated with a game, this arcade club where we play a couple of games like Metroid, I would have thrown that out the window long before I finished it, because there was just parts of the game that I didn't want to play through, and if I didn't have that external push to play the game, I just wouldn't have. But when you're younger, or like back when you were playing these games in the 80s and 90s when they were released, you only had so much that you could consume, and so you get a new game and you just focus on that for weeks, and you'd knock off work or knock off school, and you'd just be excited and thrilled to get home and play this game. And it's just not the same. We've got so much at our disposal now, and I think that's one of the reasons that games like Fortnite and Dota and League of Legends are so popular, even for myself, because there's such low investment. You can just jump on and play for an hour and get your fix and then call it. So
that's what these guys are good for. That kind of like jump on your Game Boy while you're taking a shit, and
that's it. 100%.
Play a game of Tetris. Mike doing his speed runs.
Yeah.
when he's got the runs.
I'm learning Contra. Learning Contra at the moment, not to speed run, but just to play it. I've played through level 1, 2, 3. I'm up to level 4, so we'll see where that goes.
Ree's always messaging me like, "Hey, can you talk to Mike? I think there's something wrong. He's on the toilet all the time."
He's got hemorrhoids or something.
Yeah. And she just hears this clicking, and she thinks he's jacking it, but he's just playing Game Boy.
It's my special time for me.
Does he still love me?
I'm playing Contra, babe. Yeah, righto.
Whatever.
Whatever, mate.
Why are you going through 3 rolls of toilet paper every week?
Yep.
Just toilet.
These Contra characters are just so
I'm on
hot.
level 3. Just order some more. Be quiet.
Contra makes me cry.
Such a deep storyline.
Shit. That's so good. Well, who here actually finished Metal Gear Solid then? No one, right?
I finished it the last time I played it a few years ago. I didn't finish it this time around, unfortunately. Okay. So it's a bit of a sad tale. I'm trying to get a hold of that game this month. I actually couldn't get a hold of a copy. I even wanted to buy I tried to buy like a PS1 Classic so that I could play it, and still couldn't get a hold of one.
No luck. That's how it goes, isn't it?
It's like people on Bumtree that were advertising and wouldn't bloody answer, and so
Bumtree.
What about the HD collections?
Because they don't have the original.
It got taken off Steam. It used to be on there, I swear, because I looked like maybe a year or something ago, and it was there.
They had a HD collection for Metal Gear for PS3, and I think it was on Steam as well. But it didn't have the original. It had Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear 3, and one of the like supplementary versions as well. So from what I could find, the only ways to play it were via the PC port, which is like I played it in the PC port, but the controls are just a bit fucky, and there's like a few annoying glitches. Okay. Or you can emulate it, or apparently there was a remake for GameCube, and you still need to use like Dolphin or something, like an emulator to play the GameCube version. Or a modded Wii. So
I might play an emulated version, or is there a version of it that you can buy on PS4?
Shit, guys. So you guys. Yeah, sorry, just freeze this all up. So you guys didn't play on the original version, right?
No.
So in the game, the guys like check the back of the box for the
frequency,
the codec.
Yeah. I grabbed my box. I'm like, holy fucking shit, this is weird. And I put the 181.55 whatever it was in. Like, I just called someone from looking at the back of a box from what a computer game told me to look at.
One of my favorite
blew my
things.
mind.
One of my favorite things about that playthrough, and why I think the reason I left with such a good taste in my mouth from Metal Gear Solid, is that there was that weird breaking of the fourth wall.
Yeah.
I don't want to give too much away for the boys who haven't played it, but when you get to Psycho Mantis, there's mechanics.
I've heard about
this. It doesn't work. It doesn't work on the PC port.
Of course, you have to have save states.
So what you have to do,
memory card,
what you have to do with with the original console version doesn't translate to a PC, and so you have to do an alternative, which is a lot harder. Like it's just significantly more difficult. So like, I think I still enjoyed it, knowing what they were trying to do and knowing that it was the issue with the port and not the original game. But yeah, specifically what you were talking about, Mike, with that code that you had to find on the back of it was an anti-piracy measure. And so you had to input a code into the game that you found on the back of your physical case. And when I got to that point, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to Google it. I'm gonna have to share it in the group so other people don't get to this point and be like,
what was it, like 170.5 something or
something like that? Yeah.
Let's see if I can get this up here.
Sick.
It's there.
I can see it. It's blurage.
You wouldn't download a car.
Yeah, would 140.15.
Oh, there it is.
That's it. Yeah. That's the one. Man, like
you wouldn't download a car.
Yeah, really, really cool.
You wouldn't download Nintendo's library. Jeez.
You see that from IT crowd? You wouldn't steal a policeman's hat and take a shit in it and give it back.
I love the old piracy warnings.
So funny.
Bow, 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 down, 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 down.
Bit of trivia for that one. I read the other day that song was pirated. They didn't have the rights to use that song in the Anti-Piracy Act.
Of course.
That's the best.
Amazing,
That's the best.
right?
Talk about insult to injury.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, that just shatters my entire universe.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
That's just a revelation that I wasn't ready for.
It's just
I'm going to pirate everything now.
We need to
Nothing's real.
Yeah.
What else I really loved was the handful of arcade titles, the arcade PCBs that when you boot them up, it says "Winners don't take drugs," and it's like it's like the American.
That was the 1990s sort of.
Yeah, the FBI circle logo thing. Yeah.
Tell that to the Russians, mate.
Yeah.
They win the Olympics sometimes because of the drugs, so maybe winners do take drugs. Tell that to Lance Armstrong.
Tell that to Lance Armstrong, yeah.
Tell that to Zangief, that fucking big jerk.
Who?
Zangief.
Oh, right, Zangief. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're about to throw a fireball. He grabs through the fireball in that 360 pole driver. You're fucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
There goes like half your life bar.
Yeah.
Clearly steroids.
What a douche.
What a douche canoe.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to play it on. I might try to because I want to get a PS2 Slim anyway. Maybe I'll try to get a copy of it. Yeah. Of an original.
I would try and just set yourself up with a mod chip for the PS2. Not that we condone piracy, but it's very difficult to get games in this day and age. And and the PS2 or even a PS3 modded is fantastic.
Yeah, no, get a mod chip. Keep the classics alive. Do it.
Yeah. So I've got a PS1. I got a PS1 with a mod chip. I just didn't have a way to burn a CD.
Damn.
Because evidently we've got no CD drives in this day and age. So
I've got a CD burner. I'll burn your disc, send it interstate. Hard, dude.
Well,
living the higher life.
At Mum and Dad's up in Brisbane, I've got a USB DVD drive, and if I had given myself more time, I would have got them to send it down. But alas, I don't.
When I was searching for copies of Metal Gear Solid, I went to Eddie's Retro in Greenslopes, and Eddie said that before the pandemic started, he had like 10 copies of it, and he just couldn't sell them. And then like when the pandemic started, he just got cleaned out, and that all the copies he had gone. I was like,
good for Eddie at least, man. I hope.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope that shop
there are a lot of some of those. I'm pretty sure that he's going all right. Just quietly.
So Eddie, have you guys met Eddie?
Yeah, heaps of times.
What does he look like?
Asian.
I think
short Asian dude. Yeah.
Okay, so not the guy that I
guess that's one way to describe him.
There was this bloke at is it Greenslopes where there's the big markets that run every week or so.
That's
Greenslopes is the mall. Rockley is the market.
Rockley is where Eddie used to have his market stall.
Right. So there was a market stall. I just can't remember. I feel like it might have been Mount Gravatt or something. Where there was this one guy there, and he had all of this arcade gear, like tons and tons of arcade gear.
Wow.
A lot of old like boxed Super Nintendos and Super Famicoms and like all the games you can imagine.
Cool.
And I bought a ton of stuff from him like a decade ago. It would have been 10 years ago. And I held on to that for years, and like I repaired a bunch of it and this and that. And then I ended up making a pretty penny when I eventually sold it off. But I feel like this guy had enough stuff that he could very easily have started up his own shop, because I went around to visit him I can't recall his name.
It might have been Eddie.
Might have been. I don't remember it being an Asian bloke though. But who knows? He might have he might have changed.
Maybe he identified as an Asian and then he transitioned. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe that's possible. I don't know. Technology is amazing these days. This is going so quiet. Like this is an awkward topic, Shaun. Why?
I was thinking of it. I was thinking of a segue. So, speaking of that, no, I couldn't think of anything.
Yeah, he's
Boys, I think we might. have to wrap it up because I want to have some brekkie before we get onto the next podcast.
Yeah, right on. I got to grab
some.
some.
Same, but I want some dinner.
Yeah. Was there any questions that you guys wanted for Jack, or Jack? Anything else you wanted to mention before we piss off?
Nothing from me. It was a great chat. Really good.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. It was a treat, boys.